because it had no credibility. It had um, none of the none of the attributes of great elections or free and fair elections were involved in that election. And after I came out, I not only asked that the election not be regarded as an election that produced leaders for Nigerians, I did ask for a revolution and went ahead to organize some of the most powerful events that shook those in power, known as revolution now, and that led me to being in prison for about 4.5 months. And now you're seeing the same thing happening with other political uh, organizations and parties. They are calling for the occupation of INEC because they have come to that conclusion that I came to as of 2019 that the umpire is not credible or the people working on INEC cannot be trusted to organize free and fair elections. They just allocated votes to those of us. Uh, I mean, so many people, so all of us, they gave, they allocated the highest to their highest bidder or owner. And we must ensure that that is not repeated in 2023.
Mm, mm. Okay. So you previously said that you and Nigeria should take it back. Now, when you say take it back, what are you saying to Nigerians?
A number of things that Nigerians have been robbed of. They've been robbed of, you know, their citizenship, their nationhood, their humanity, you know, their economic rights, political rights. And when saying take it back, we're asking them to take this back from those who are denying them of these inalienable rights and privileges as citizens of the country known as Nigeria. So that in a nutshell is what take it back is about.
Right. Right. What are your thoughts on the EndSARS protest? Because it seems that revolution now was sort of a mechanism to a vehicle, an idea to drive a bit of what the EndSARS was about. Lagos was sort of the epicenter of EndSARS, though I feel more people died in River State,
Well,
in Oyibo. But Lagos was the center of attraction. This was ground zero.
yes.
What are your thoughts on how that ended?
Well, NSAS might not have happened had we not done revolution now.
Some would say that's debatable.
Yeah?
Some would say that is debatable.
Well, you can debate it all you want, but we were the first to demystify this government through revolution now. I was sent to prison, came back and continued. And that emboldened a lot of young people. It inspired a lot of people. You see, one of the things that governments did not understand, even some people, sorry, who were NSAS organizers did not realize was NSAS wasn't about police brutality. They realized that too late, and that's why they were drawing up, agenda for ending police brutality. People were not interested in that. It was just an avenue to completely go after the government, and hadn't been properly organized. I mean, it was well organized. I cannot deny that. I was the one who started the first NSAS protest in Abuja, and I took it to the police headquarters. But had they understood contextually that what people were looking for, NSAS could have led to a revolution.
Okay.
And what we'll be talking about still will become very different.
When you say had they understood, this young people now understood
Well,
contextually.
some of the organizers were more focused on how to lies and dialogue with the government. They didn't understand the streets had a different agenda.
Okay.
But the government found out very quickly that there was a different agenda, and that's why they did what they did in Igbo,
Okay.
and also in Lagos and several other places where they massacred a lot of young people. And they knew the consequences of what they did. That's why they also tried to cover up the massacres. Till today, the Nigerian government has not admitted to killing people at Lekki toll gate. The River State government hasn't admitted that they kill people in Oyibo. But someday, uh, the facts will come out and they will be made to pay for it. Some of them will pay for it when they are in their 80s and 90s, if they are still around.
Some footage of the during the NSAS period showed you, being, I won't say booed, but being, would I say rejected by some of the young people when they went to
Yeah,
join them?
I was not rejected.
So what happened? Because
See,
it seemed like you were trying to join the protest, and
I wasn't
they were
trying
like
to join the
they
protest.
don't want you and ask you to go home.
So what is part of what I was saying earlier. Some of the organizers were handling exercise. They didn't understand the nature of social movements. You understand? And they thought so. Some of them it was fun. It was just like their first time protesting, and it was fun. And there'd been this whole campaign, even by the government, that I and the revolutionary people were trying to hijack NSAS. Some people believed it and believed they thought that NSAS was all about we just do police brutality, remove some few police officers, and then we can claim victory. So those of us who knew that had we kept talking to them like this is something that's bigger than some of you.
Probably you felt you wanted to hijack it for your political aims. In being a candidate, they felt that you were part of the problem, being a politician.
No, I do not be part of the problem. I've been part of the solution to Nigeria's problem for 3 decades. They got it wrong. And by the time I was leaving, before I left the place, they had come back and apologized.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have a full video. You know what they did was that they took the short video, and it's always been that everybody, especially the political parties, have always never felt comfortable with me. Like I keep telling people, I'm an equal opportunity offender. So government, political party leaders, especially with what Sahara reporters did to expose a lot of these corrupt guys, they're always after me. Uh, so I'm not in any way surprised. But you know what? Eventually, when government came around and killed people, a lot of these guys disappeared. We were the ones who had to continue. We're still pulling people out of prison up until last month. People who were sent to prison on the basis of EndSARS. They've been abandoned. So we had to set up lawyers to get people out. And we've been the ones at the forefront of all the EndSARS memorials. Between that of 2021. And we're planning something big for 2022 as well. One last thing I wanted to say is that some of the people had political agenda.
Some of those who came out to push the NSAS thing.
Yeah, and you can see it now. You see where they're, you've seen where they're all.
Can you give us names?
I don't need to give names,
Right.
but a lot of them are, they use it to, create their own political base,
Okay.
followers on social media, and they're making a killing out of it now.
Okay.
Yeah, by supporting, particular candidates or candidates and trying to force the
Maybe
candidate on the
if you
people.
give us maybe one, we will understand you better.
I'm not the type of person who is afraid to talk about things
Yeah.
like that.
I
But I also don't want to distract
attention
attention from.
maybe of one of those guys.
Who?
I don't know.
Yeah. So you find out.
All right. Your thoughts are welcome for those listening. 08092345913 is the first number you can call. 08092345913. Second number 08091913913. 08091913913. Third number 08092220913. 08092220913. That's a third number to call. And of course, we have our landline 015150913 and 015151913. I'll take those numbers again 015150913 and 015151913. We have the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Comrade, like we call him, Omoyele Sowore, is with us in the studio. Quite a controversial character. And he has said tonight that what he saw as the NSAS protest came about because he organized the Take It Back movement. He was also
Revolution now.
the revolution now, rather, and he's also said that young people who looked at how to move him out from that venue and rejected him. Well, he wasn't rejected, but they came back to apologize to him afterwards. He's also said tonight that the people, the organizers of the NSAS protest, some of them missed it because they did not listen to people like him. and he said some of them have political motives which are being seen right now. Political motives which are being seen right now. All right, so we have some messages coming in. Margaret from Lagos Island says she's listening in. Ari Sekola says, does he think his party stands a chance of winning the presidency in 2023? What structures does his party have in the north? It's an all important word, structure.
Yeah. I was saying this in 2019 that the people of Nigeria are the political structures you need to win an election. And that the structures that people are used to are transactional structures, especially of the legacy parties. They're just there to carry out transactions. They don't have identity. Sometimes they don't even have any sense of belonging or loyalty. So they're not a brand. And sometimes political parties have to be big brands for them to command respect and loyalty of what you can really call structure. So, and the position I maintained at that time has now become popular.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay,
Everybody's now saying,
Nigerians are my structure.
yes, they don't like, they say you don't need structure, you just need people, but some of them were the people who mocked us in 2019 and said, oh,
Who are they? Who are you talking about?
I'm saying some of the people who are announcing that they don't need structures.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to mock us in 2019. You guys, without structure, you can't win. So in the north, we have a particular advantage. Our VP is from the north. He's a human rights lawyer, and he's based out of Kano. That's Garba Magashi, and that's a huge advantage for us. And he's very well known in particular circles for doing pro bono work for poor people.
Okay.
And that makes a lot of difference in places like Kano, where
So human rights advocate.
yes, and a human rights advocate for people they call Kalakawas.
Oh wow.
Yes, so for the poor, and that's the basis upon which we keep telling people that we will win elections if these people allow elections to be fair and fair. Yeah, and because elections are not particularly something that happens in one day, right? Part of elections is what we're doing here today. You're interviewing me,
Okay.
but you know that the people, the people who don't come to your radio stations to talk about social political issues, manifesto, or what they want to do for Nigerian people, they're the ones who get the most coverage.
Okay.
The ones that will never come here. You guys cover them all day long. Those of us who have the ideas.
But we cover you. We cover you too.
Well, I'm saying, relatively,
Yeah, I get
we
what
don't
you mean.
get that enough coverage for us to say, well, this is balance. Sorry. So I am saying completely that the structures we need are the people. The people, what I used to say, and I repeat here, is that the structure that makes the most amount of sense are the oppressed people coming together to say enough is enough.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what kind of party is the African National Congress? Is there any ideology? I was listening to the speech or statement by one of the guests at the SDP's national secretary. Really, just listen to something. I think it was an Oba, and he said the SDP is the only party in Nigeria because they're the only ones that have an ideology. And I began to think about it. You hear social democratic, yeah. Do I think that Labour Party started as a social democratic something before they changed the name? So what is the idea?
But that's not true. It's, I think I listened partly to that. I think that was Olufalai
Okay.
who was saying that.
Okay.
The SDP was Abiola's party in 1993.
All right.
1992, 1993. I don't know if it's the same SDP, but if they're the same, then they shouldn't be talking about ideology.
Really?
Yes. And if the one that I know now, the SDP that I know now, it's saying that they have ideology. I've not demonstrated it in any way publicly, or even as a political party. Because I read their press releases all the time. I mean, they rarely do issue president. I don't see them talking about social political issues in the country.
Okay.
And I say this not to disparage their candidates who
All right.
but the SDP as a political political party, with due respect, have a flag bearer and a candidate. The flag bearer is my friend Adebayo, Prince Adebayo.
Okay.
Their candidate is Ashwaju. Everybody knows that.
Hello.
Their candidate is
That's an option.
Emile Kon.
Really?
Yes.
Well, how? I mean, how? How
Because
can? How can?
I prepped the party. I prepped the party for if he had lost from APC as presidential candidate, I think he would have moved directly to
Even local
SDP.
What's the basis for saying this? I mean, is there a link between Adebayo, Prince Adebayo?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a link, but I'm saying that the party was, as a matter of fact, the SDP was the first party that Peter Obi ran to before he eventually settled with the Labour Party. This is a well-known fact.
Okay.
Yeah. So, an ideological party, it's not that cheap for just anybody to walk into. But you're asking about us.
Yeah.
We
What's
have,
your-
our ideology is very socialist in the sense that we believe in equality. Yes, of course. If you're a socialist, you must have some Marxism to it. We're not afraid to say. But the big pillar for us is the welfare of the people. So it's socialist welfare is kind of platform.
Would it be sort of like a Nigerian version of EFF?
We're not EFF, and I don't like to keep comparing ourselves, but I like
to ask you that all the time.
yes, I like the optimism. I like the fact that in that regard that we'll fight for anything and anybody, and we'll fight anybody, whether you are president or or any person with oppressive tendencies or group. Yes, we're similar in that regard. The activism of EFF is also very present now. But what I tell people a lot is that, when you look at EFF in South Africa, you think they are facing any opposition. They're not. If they existed in Nigeria, some of them would have run away. Because the EFF guys in the parliament, they can be insulting the president of South Africa right there in the parliament. You can't do that here. I was there for.
Are you sure they can do that?
We can do that.
Yeah.
We're the only political party who can say anything we want and damn the consequences. Go to jail and come back and repeat the same thing. So we can do that. We're the only party in this country today who can look in the eye of the president and give the oppressive state a middle finger. And we get beaten up for it, we get jailed for it. And we're not afraid to say that's who we are. I don't know of any other political party. That's why I was questioning the issue of ideology with SDP, but that's not my focus. Right? My focus is us. But we are the only political party, that's the African National Congress, that will look in anybody's face. We're the ones who will go in the middle of the night to a police station, to DSS headquarters, and protest against the president. We are the only political party who ran a Buhari must go campaign in this country. And it was trending every day. We're doing physical protests, we'll send the army, police after us, and we'll stand our ground. Okay. I'm saying other political party has ever participated in. Even the Labour Party did not participate in EndSARS.
Are you sure?
The candidate did not participate in that. The Labour Party is a political party of the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress.
And the NLC
they did not participate in EndSARS.
Right.
Yes.
So write that down. So I'll come back to that in a second. I know I saw you were there. I know that one of the young something party also came out as well, trying to get some young people to join them.
There was a YPP. Yes. But I think those ones are just opportunistically taking advantage of that period.
Yes. Okay, all right. So in terms of ideology now, you're saying that your party, the AAC, and we're going to take some calls very shortly. But you're saying your party, the AAC, is a socialist party. And for those who are listening who may not understand, because we like to break it down for everyone to understand, how does a socialist party think? What kind of programs would they implement?
So what a socialist party does, so that without complicate the ideological definition of it, is that we believe that the people are paramount and that they should own and control their resources. The opposite of that kind of party are the capitalists who believe that individuals should own everything in the country and the rest of us should just be working for them. And the reason we are very clear about this is that look at all the privatization that was done since sorry, 1999. Nigeria sold factories that belong to Nigerians to private individuals. These private individuals borrowed money from Nigerian government. They get grants from Nigerian government. And yet, the people are the ones who own it, are the ones who are made to pay for their excesses. Look at what AMCON does, the debt buyback scam that they do.
Okay.
Yes, people will go and owe billions. They will give AMCON wristwatch and they wipe out 150 million out of it.
So the banks will
Yeah,
go down the long
so and so Nigerian people's resources are used to bail out irresponsible billionaires. In a socialist environment, the people own their pens. Look at the discos that were sold to individuals. Now the government is taking back the discos. They're taking some of them over again because they never, in the first place, were capable of running these companies because they belong to Nigerian people. Look at the NMPC.
No.
I was joking about it the other day I think in the TV or radio station that people are talking about IPOB and Oduduwa people wanting to secede. And the government is not doing anything about the NNPC. NNPC seceded from Nigeria a long time ago. It became its own country. They had its own head of state. They had their own budget. They give to Nigeria whenever they want. Purchase some sort of money, steal the rest. And NNPC empty buried $9 million in a dingy neighborhood in Kaduna State, in MGO.
People have forgotten.
They forgot it. So,
Yeah.
so, and these are monies that belongs to you. But they'll be telling you that, it's very good for the World Bank in particular and the IMF, which I call the National Monetary Fraud. Will be dictating policies to you. Don't send your children to school. Don't fund education. But guess what? When they had COVID in the UK, the children that they said we shouldn't fund to go to school, 8,000 of them have joined the medical ranks in the UK, US, and other parts of the world. So, had we not sent them to school, where would they get the doctors that they are poaching now and nurses? You understand? So, what socialism does is that it invests in people. It gives to the people priority, their right to own what belongs to them, and the rights of, the rights of workers are also very paramount. The rights of children to get free education is paramount. Free healthcare for people is paramount. Let me explain further by pointing to you countries that are socialist in nature that are doing very well. Denmark, Norway. Are you getting my point?
Are they so socialist in nature?
Yes.
In theory, like do they call themselves socialist nations?
You have a Google
Yeah, no, I'm just asking.
thing in front of you. You can
Because
check.
I would think you'd call China.
Actually, China is no longer socialist. China is probably more, capitalist than, but their own government is is arranged in such a way that yes, it's a little confusing for people who may not know. But I wouldn't put China in that circle
Okay.
anymore.
So some would say, in today's world, the socialism idea, this Marxist philosophy, is not it doesn't sell anymore. This is not what we need in the world today. We need free markets. We need atmospheres where businesses can thrive. We live in a global village where no country can be on its own. I mean, for you as a socialist, you want to give everything free. So you're going to take over companies, for instance, nationalize them. Is that what you mean? Maybe probably
I'm not interested.
nationalize the NNPC.
Of course, we will renationalize it.
You will be national. So you're opposite of Atiku who wants to privatize.
We are not selling NFPC to our friends. Their friends have stolen enough of NFPC. We'll take it back and put our people there to run the place profitable, in a way that is sustainable. I don't want to use profitable, but in a way that is sustainable.
But interesting. Yesterday we had a conversation with one of the officials, research analysts on budget, talking about state of enterprises and the lack of transparency there. But some will say that government has no business in business, and
It's a lie.
the reason why a lot of state of enterprises today are
The
failing.
biggest business
Yes,
in the world is government. Yes.
That should be in places where the government can run businesses successfully.
No, it's not true. You see, you can't get anything done in the US without the government dictating everything to you. Even when you are, innovative, when if the government of the US wants to break Facebook tomorrow, they won't think about it twice. They'll go into the place and, you know, break it into pieces because they regulate, and why would you say that government should, people should be left? Government has no business in business when the biggest business involving people is government. Yes,
Okay.
all the businessmen in this country rely on government to make it. That's how they made money. Government is the one who helped Dangote to build his refinery, and now the government cannot even repair his own refineries. He'll be selling, you know, he'll be selling to us, making big profit. These guys look big to you because government is there. That's why they are more interested in elections. They fund elections, they put their guys there so that they can take advantage of everybody in the country. You know. Now, are we not trying to get an airline of our own again? Are we not still in charge of railway? Yeah. Are we not still in charge of education? Because why? Government cannot neglect those very important areas. Otherwise, the country will crumble. If you left Nigeria to be run by private enterprises, Nigeria would have died a long time ago because all the private entrepreneurs, it's Nigeria that is bailing them out when they get into debt through AMCON. And this the amount of money AMCON has has spent on these irresponsible business people, capitalists you're talking about, is up to 5 point something trillion in bad loans alone.
Okay.
Each time they have problem, they run to government to give them grants, to give them bailouts. We build out banks how many times in this country? Banks. Why don't you leave the banks to just die a natural death?
But even Americans build our banks. Probably it's a global best practice.
And I wanted to mention to you about America. America is probably more socialist than most countries in the world because America has a welfare system for its citizens. They have a healthcare system that's affordable, sometimes unaffordable. I'm not proud of it. They give loans for people to go to school. They give grants for students to go to. When I arrived in America in 1999, I wasn't a citizen. I didn't even have the status. You know, 2 years after I arrived, I had to do my masters. That night, the amount of money that was given to me, the night I signed up to become a student at Columbia University, my masters, it was enough for me to buy a brand new car if I wanted. The excess on it. I could rent a house with it. Of course, part of it was loan. I'm still paying it back.
Wow.
And now,
So that's something like that you like to replicate in Nigeria.
I'm
So
just telling you that if you don't ignore your citizens and claim that you are a social, you're a capitalist state. Ghana, I mean, even China, with all its capitalistic tendencies, I've got apartments all over the place that are unoccupied. They are investing in their citizens. So people who come and lie to you here, they don't invest in your citizens. People who benefited from free education in their country start working in IMF and World Bank will come and tell you to do a structural adjustment program. It is structural adjustment program that ruined Nigeria's economy. They value your currency. They go after everything you have that works for you. They came and destroyed it because they want to be shipping their products to you. We want to produce. We want to be producing from here. We want to be shipping across. But part of the thing we want to do is anything we're sending out, we control the price.
Okay.
And but with the system we have in place now, they control everything. They control how we export and control how we import. They determine prices on both sides. Reason is because they want you to be at their beck and call. They want you to be helpless. They are fighting for their own country.
Sure.
And they take your crude oil from here. They go and refine it and bring it back to you. Sell it to them at the price they dictate. They sell it back to you at the price they dictate. They take cocoa from your country, they buy it from you at the price they dictate. They sell chocolate to you at the price they dictate.
Probably that's why we do not have a working refinery till now.
And that's internal sabotage.
Yes.
It was sabotaged by the people who believe in free enterprise.
So people see you, and some people would probably, and not surprisingly, see you as you know, uh, someone who has a hard style, has this militant attitude of being hard. You're a protester, you're an activist, but they may not rate you in terms of your economic sagacity, business savviness. So, what is your? I know you put out some aspects of your blueprint before now. I've seen something on social media. You're one of the first to do that. What is your economic blueprint? I hope it's not like one of the candidates who has not paid for renewal of rights to the blueprint. What is your plan for Nigeria's economy?
So I wanted to address your first question. That people see me as someone who was sagacious. That's how you like to rephrase it. Apart from being an activist, do you know that I created a global business in the
I
heart
want
of,
I want you to do it.
yes,
Yeah,
in the
tell
heart
us
of
about
New
that.
York City? You know, I started Sowore Reporters with a single laptop. And I'm not a motivational speaker here. This is true life story. And it became a global brand, a multi-million dollar brand. So who are they to tell me about being an entrepreneur? But I don't use that. I don't use that as part of my CV because I'm not here to recreate lies. I'm here to work on a country that is not working. The people who you say are economically sagacious, look at what they did to your naira. You know, one of them, Okonjo Iweala, came to be Nigeria's um, minister twice.
Some see it as one of the best things to happen to
What
Nigeria's
what
economy.
best thing?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about those who are
She's one of the worst things to happen to Nigeria.
really, if you look at the comments, people really appreciate and feel that we need more people like her to run the Nigerian
Packaging,
economy.
packaging.
But look at where she is now. She has a WTO appointment. If she wasn't good, would she be there?
If you kiss up to the system, they give you any job you want, even if you're the worst performing person in your own country. But the Nigeria that she managed twice, look at where we are. At the point they said they were repaying loans, some of the loans that they repaid never existed because they had friends that they wanted to give Nigeria money to. And eventually, in self-dealing, she got some of the companies that were involved in the loan repayment thing to put her on their board.
All right. What's your plan for Nigeria's economy?
Mm, The Nigerian economy is broken, and I want to address fundamentally what makes economies work. And one of our targets is to industrialize Nigeria, that is to make it work as a country that has industry
That sounds familiar.
it's not familiar. You're hearing it differently.
Okay. All right.
And that is why my number one priority is the energy sector. That we must build an energy sector that gives us electricity 24/7. Are you getting my point? Because without electricity, there's no country in the world that's ever industrialized without electricity. It's not going to happen. Because I would have loved to say, well, since Nigeria is in shambles in terms of security, maybe security should be number one priority. But I have come to the conclusion that if you don't have electricity, you can't have security. Because the moment you industrialize and you start producing, jobs will be created all over the place. And when jobs are created, you have granted a number of people economic security. And they would most likely prefer that to take into crime. I'm not saying that in countries where there are jobs, people don't take to crime. No. But that will put this country back in a place where it starts to produce both locally and internationally. And it's when you're producing something in the international market, real something, not crude oil alone. Okay. There's diversity of products that are going out. that your currency can get strengthened. Because part of the reason why the naira is in such terrible shape today is because it's not backed with anything. And like you know, there's also an international game to it. They actually come after the naira by saying, as a rule, you must devalue your currency.
So you're looking at value-added products that will
Yes,
not just selling raw materials. But okay, we'll talk
be able
some.
to produce the raw materials. If your refineries are working and you're exporting refined petrol and other products, even across the West African region, you make money. You get foreign, get hard currencies.
Dangote refinery is so come on board. I'm sure that will go a long way to.
It's not your refinery. Dangote is not going to work for you. It's just taking advantage of Nigeria to build a refinery, which nobody can say when it come on board because there are stories they're not telling you about refineries anyway. There are cost overruns,
Okay.
issues with the refinery. But that's not my. I'm not applying to become the CEO of Dangote Refinery. I'm trying to be president of Nigeria. That's what I'm working towards.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
we'll take
So-
some calls now. We have to go straight to the phone lines. We have more messages, but with us tonight is the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Omoyele Sowore. He is our guest tonight on the late edition to discuss the idea of a third force in Nigeria's polity. What are the chances of a new party winning the next presidential election? What kind of candidate should Nigerians look to in a bid to make this alternative a reality? Your thoughts are welcome via the phone lines 080-9234-5913. Seeing we've got a number of calls 080-9234-5913. You can also call 080-9191-3913. 080-9191-3913. That's a female line. We have 080-922-0913. 080-922-0913. We have 01515-0913 and 01515-1913. My name is Kofi Bartels, and you're listening to the late edition. We have a message here that Chris is listening to us in Toronto. Okay, all right. Chris, thank you very much for the information. Appreciate your time. Okay, so try and listen to us, yeah, and see if you can hear when he's talking, yeah. All right, I think it's from Chris's live stream. All right, there's another message here. Remy is listening in Akoka. Okay, she's saying that Betta Edu, who is now the APC women leader, was part of the EndSARS protest. So for you to say that was your party, maybe Remy, what are you saying? I need to understand what you're saying, please. You have to send another message. We have our next first this now the line 91.3. Good evening to you.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome. What's your name?
My name is Owen Ikechukwu. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Ikechukwu calling from Port Harcourt. Fantastic. Yeah.
Owen Ikechukwu.
All right, Owen. Nice to have you. Nice to have you. How is PH tonight?
PH is quite mildy, it was quite warm during the daytime and it's cool,
All right.
this night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Owen, please go. We're listening to you. Your questions.
Okay, thank you for having me, and I must appreciate your guest, Omoyele. I have been quite following him a very long time from now. I have been quite a great fan of his from here. And the first question I want to ask, I quite have like two questions to ask, but the first question is that he talked about pulling off Nigeria from Commonwealth if he should be the president of the country. And I want to know, in a situation whereby you pull off Nigeria from the Commonwealth, and we have had some issues where in the past, like countries like Zimbabwe, I guess Zimbabwe, where you have Robert Mugabe pulled off Zimbabwe from the Commonwealth, and you started having all sorts of covert issues in ploy to keep Zimbabwe people. What the thing is, he will put in if such things should happen. And secondly, about the issue of socialism, like talking about like his party, the Socialist Party. And my question is this: for an heterogeneous country as Nigeria, if you socialize Nigeria, what if you should become a socialist president, for instance? How do you manage the affairs of clashes of other ethnic nationalities in the country that that quite wants to we have issues of like people want asking for their resource control, devaluation of powers and all that.
Okay, so your first question, can you summarize the first question in one sentence? Because the line was a bit
Okay, the first question is, how will you take care of issues that emanate from pulling off Nigeria from the Commonwealth, like you said earlier on?
Commonwealth.
Thank you so much. I read it. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I responded to the death of the Queen in a series of tweets that Nigerians should not mourn the Queen because she didn't die for Nigeria. And that the Commonwealth, which is an organization of former colonies of the UK, Britain, serves no purpose if those of us who are members of the Commonwealth cannot travel to any Commonwealth country without a visa. And that used to be the case when the Commonwealth was initially set up. To bring about parity and equality among Commonwealth of nations in the Commonwealth. But that's no longer the case. And I've kept asking myself, of what use is the Commonwealth if we are the only commoners in the Commonwealth? So why don't we just pull out?
Is that not too extreme? And this may be why people are skeptical about you. You might take very extreme.
I particularly do not subscribe to the fact that we should belong to an alumni association of formerly colonized nations. The Brits did not do us any favor by colonizing us. It's one of the most degrading things that was ever done to us. The US was also colonized by the Britain. Why are they not in the Commonwealth of Nations? Because they fought brutally for their own independence and don't even want to remember that episode anymore. So if we are going to remain in the Commonwealth, there must be something beneficial to us. And I thought one of it should be that we should be able to enter any of these Commonwealth countries visa free. And if we can't, forget it. We can do without the Commonwealth.
Right. All right, we'll have the next listener on the line, 91.3. Lost your call. They do please call back and share your thoughts with us. We have more messages coming through. Remy, I've asked you to try and explain to us what you mean. Beta Edu was a part of the EndSARS protest. I know then she was in the PDP. But we have our next listener, 91.3. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Coffee. I'm so glad that you were able to read the Sowore.
Welcome. What's your name, please, and where are you listening to us from?
My name is Tony. I'm calling from Iowa.
All right, Tony, welcome. I guess it's listening to you.
Yes, greetings to your guest.
Thank you. Good evening.
I'd like to listen to.
Thank you.
Please, two questions.
Guys.
During the last election, we were not allowed to debate with any presidential candidate. And I foresee such a thing coming up. How will you get yourself on the platform to debate with other presidential candidates? It's number one question. The second question I want to ask you is this. There are power blocks in Nigeria. Interest groups, cultural groups, the military. You may be seen as a very radical person to contend with. How do you think you can win an election in a state so structured like Nigeria? And we have a nexus with our former colonial power. That's the second question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mark, for your time.
Emma, thank you very much. You raised a very legitimate question. We're already seeing it. In 2019, I was excluded from debates, even though they did internal polls that show that many Nigerians wanted me to participate in presidential debates. They skipped over me and included people who didn't win those polls. They had polls done They had 10 different polls done. This I found out later. And we had to go to court during that period. We sued the national, I think it's the National Debate Group, as they were called at that time, NEDG. I think it's National Election Debate Group, which was then headed by the proprietor, the owner of Channels TV. And we even carried out protests at the premises of Channels TV over the exclusion. The judge who sat on the case did not make any pronouncements on our lawsuit. He told us the day he was supposed to give a judgment that it was vacation. He was vacation judge. Vacation is over. I hereby return your file to the chief judge, who never reassigned the case to today. We are seeing it again. All these polls, all these shady polls that they are doing now, they are doing it for the sake of ensuring that the debating that will happen only, within amongst three candidates. And we have made it very clear that we are opposed to that. In the US, even during primaries when there are 16 candidates, they will allow all of them to debate. In this case, there are 16 political candidates in Nigeria. We should be able to reach out to all of them in a debate. Maybe the first few debates, you can do some elimination series. But I'm in support of everybody being allowed to debate because there are 200 million people in Nigeria. 16 candidates can be accommodated.
Yeah.
But don't reduce the ideas to three candidates that Nigerians know have no fresh ideas.
So
They have nothing to bring on the table.
Was the AAC part of the protests? The rejection of, for instance, the LCCI invited three.
No, the NBA started it.
NBA said yes.
Yeah. The NBA started it. And it was found out that the NBA was biased. They had interest in a particular candidate.
Which candidate is this?
They said they had interest in Peter Obi.
Did they say that?
Yes, people found out. They were confronted. I met with the SDP guy who's a lawyer, and he said when he met with the chairman of MBA or the president of MBA, Olumide Akpata, he said, "What do you want to do? Obi is our person now." So eventually, when he harassed them, they put his name on it, so he was able to participate in the debate. I don't know how Kachuku got on there, but they did not invite me. He said he asked them, "Why did you invite Sowore?" They said, "Oh, we heard that Sowore cannot travel out of Abuja." These are lawyers, so. And at that time, I've been granted relief to leave Abuja. They knew it, but they knew that if I came there, I would demolish some of the myths of some of their candidates. And it is possible, in my view, that some of the candidates might have requested that please don't bring Sowore here if you want me to attend this your event. So subsequently, ICANN is having his own convention. They invited me based on the fallout from what the NBA did. But the one that is most condemnable is the latest poll that they carried out.
Okay.
By
ANA polls.
ANA poll and NOI polls. Yeah. Both, organizations are organizations that have links with individuals who are supporting Peter Obi. Peter said that Edo is one of Peter Obi's managers, campaign managers.
How do you know that?
I know that because
is that just
it was Peter's side. No, it was Peter's side at Edo that Peter Obi first sent to SDP when he wanted to join SDP. You see, let me tell you, when I was saying
so Peter side is a member of
I don't know if he's a member of Labour Party, but he's a major campaign person for Peter Obi. Also, NY, that's Ngozi Iweala. Ngozi Iweala is Peter Obi's supporter. So the two of them they joined hands together to go and do a poll and came to the conclusion that somebody won. People who have biases should not participate in conducting polls. Polls will not have credibility if they are conducted by persons who already have decided that this is how they want the outcome to be.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a next listener. 91.3. Good evening to you. What's your name?
My name is
Bolaji. Yeah, good evening, Bolaji. Thanks for joining us. Where are you tuned in from?
I'm calling from.
Okay. All right. Please go on. Listen to you.
Good evening to you again.
Good evening.
I've listened to him two times, and I'm really impressed what he has to say about the aspiration of the president of the country. I've always maintained, among the candidates that we had, the so-called three major candidates, I don't know, they have taken either president, vice president, governors, we tried them all at different capacities. But you see, all these other candidates, the media has not been helping us and us giving them airways, so at least we listen to them and hear their ideas and what they have to offer. As for me, Bolaji, I'm listening to Sowore. I'm listening to this for time now. I'm listening to another station. There's been salient point about how intention is. So the campaign has not started yet, but I really like that and I think because the way I'm be an ambassador, so we have new people come and service of the country. Only all good people,
All right. All right. All right. All right. Thank you so much for your time and your commendations. Well, 91.3, good evening to you.
Good evening, Coach. This is Anne from Marketing.
Anne, you're welcome. Please go. Listen.
Good evening to your guests. Yeah. So, to Sowore, since you have a interest of moving this country forward, because I know about you when you were agitating for EFCC to probe Parliament Tinubu when they arrested you maybe 2019 or something. That's when I started hearing about it. So it seems to me that you truly have the interest of this country at heart, and you want this country to move forward. If that's the case, why don't you team up with Obi, Peter Obi? Because the same thing he has to move this country forward. Why don't you team up with him so that we can rescue this country from PDP and APC instead of each of you trying to have your own party and your own distance? Why don't you team up with Obi so that we can rest power from APC?
Okay, why do you think he should team up with Peter Obi so that I can understand where
I think they almost have the same ideology. Move this country forward. So we rescue this country from the hands of PDP and the APC.
All right.
Why don't they join hands together? And instead of I want to become the president and I want to become the
okay,
so all of us.
What if so I'll allow him answer you and keep listening. Feel free to call back. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard that a number of times.
Yeah. I think people program themselves to say, the part of it that is wrong is for somebody to say like you don't join a particular candidate, you don't have the interest of the country at heart. That doesn't make very much sense. I was luckily she said she knew me in 2019. She just found out about me in 2019. She doesn't even know the reason I was arrested. She thought I was trying to get Bola Tinubu Pro, which is true. I followed the Adeyanju to the ES to submit a petition to have Tinubu Pro, and they never attended to it. But I've been around Nigeria issues for 3 decades.
Since your days as a student leader?
So it's just like asking me, in a protest in 1993, to say, why is Peter Obi not in the protest? You understand? Yeah. You don't ask those kind of questions because it's a question of choice. He has he may or may not join the protest. So I don't have to join Peter Obi to make Nigeria work. And she made a very interesting statement. He said, to save Nigeria from PDP and APC. Peter Obi was a member of PDP until how many months ago? How can somebody who is he joined PDP in 2003, according to their records, left to go to Apga around maybe 2005, 2006, when he was done as governor for 8 years, came back to PDP. He was the economic advisor to Jonathan during his reign. So how can I join such a person? I've been opposed to PDP my entire life. be opposed to APC, and how do I join hands with someone who is from that tradition? So we are opposed diametrically, ideologically, and that's why our people need education. This education that we're giving on shows like yours, and I appreciate you for the opportunities. People need to hear the difference between me and some of these people in the within the political class. Like brother said before she called him, you know, look at where these guys are coming from. They were governors for 8 years. Tinubu was governor for 8 years in Lagos. 30 minutes of rain, Lagos is underwater. If you are not a scuba diver, especially on the island, you're gone. They did nothing. Nothing. When I say nothing, I mean nothing because if you look at the amount of money they got since himself and his boys came into power in this Lagos and what they invested in Lagos compared to what they invested in themselves, they just changed the people and they don't want to come back. Atiku was vice president for 8 years under Obasanjo. When ASU was on strike under the time, they awarded themselves licenses to own universities. They didn't care about solving the problem. The problem is still with us. Peter Obi was governor in Anambra State for 8 years. What did he do?
He
Nothing.
did well, you talk about the infrastructure he put up.
Where?
You talk about the
Where?
the money he left behind.
The money he left
He
behind.
didn't steal money.
No.
Nigerians,
The money he
he
left
even
behind.
invested monies from Anambra State.
You are not supposed to. You shouldn't have invested a number of states in a company that say in which you have personal interest. That's wrong. Conflict of interest. It's actually fraud. So, but people don't ask questions anymore. Somebody will tell you that he put infrastructure. We ask, where's the infrastructure? People get upset. Go and verify. That's the only answer we get.
The roads.
Which roads?
Mention
one.
There's this flyover. There's this point at junction in Onitsha, near the market that was really filled with refuse, very dirty, and he cleaned it up, turned it around, put a flyover there. I forgot what it's called.
I'm glad you forgot.
Let's go to the phone line. So you're saying Obi is the same?
It's not
more
different.
of the same.
It's not different from all these people. That's why I'm saying I can't join hands with somebody who was in PDP until he went to Labour Party. It's Labour. Labour is not different either. Labour Party endorsed Buhari in 2019. They said they'll give him 16 million votes because we all contested in 2019. So we know what it's just like I was telling you about SDP that has one flag bearer and a candidate. This is the contradictions that are in our system that we must continue to address with quality people. And this is part of what the question the other guy was asking when he said, some people will not let you think you're too radical, they won't let you govern this country. Nobody should be afraid of people who don't let great ideas run their country. One day we'll be forced to allow great ideas to run our country. And I'm saying it should be now. Don't delay. In Chile, the guy who just won their presidency is a 35-year-old former student leader. Same thing with Colombia. People with radical ideas are coming, and we fantasize about EFF in South Africa a lot.
Yeah.
If we love them so much that we talk about Malema every day, why can't you get your Malema here? So
let's hold the thought. We have a next listener of line 91.3. Good evening to you. What's your name?
Yeah, Kofi, how are you? Good evening.
I'm well, thank you. And you?
For.
My brother. We thank God.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening to your guest, Mr. Sowore.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
How are you? Good evening, sir.
Nice. I want to ask this question. Assuming that you are not a presidential candidate
Yes.
of any party, and you see the way Nigeria is being run today, and that tomorrow PDP will run over to APC, and then people when they come from the PDP and go to APC and see all the power, they just go sit around like that within themselves. And you find out that Nigeria, because of this, has been run aground. And then, after we see these three candidates coming out, and there is an opinion poll, and then they say, okay, it comes to your son, they ask you to vote for either of the three. And then when you are an ordinary citizen like us, and then they ask you, okay, there is an opinion poll out of these three candidates, Atiku, Tinubu, and C2B, vote for one of them.
Who among them would you have voted for?
I will not vote.
That's my question.
No, Peter, he's answered you. Did you hear his answer?
I will not vote if I'm presented with these three people. I will ask about the other candidates because there are 16 candidates in this election, presidential candidates. I think there are 18 political parties, but I think only 16 of them presented presidential candidates. I would ask, I would ask to hear from others. I won't be presented with a fait accompli. You know, interestingly, 2019 was the first time I voted in my life.
Okay, really?
Yes, I've never voted before in Nigeria because I had no interest in politics and politicians. It wasn't until around 2017 that I started really thinking, like, I did fantastically as a media person. But I realized that media cannot by itself change society. Good people don't go into office. So that's where I started thinking about presenting myself as a presidential candidate. So these things are very, very important to state out there. You cannot be presented with three bad options and say you must pick one. That's like feeding someone
So
poison.
those three are all right. Interesting. We have an next listener on the line. Remy is listening, I believe, from Akoka. Remy, good evening to you. Am I correct?
Yeah, good evening, Koku.
You're welcome. Yeah, take it away.
And good evening to the going to studio.
Thank you very much. Good evening, my brother.
Yeah. Um, Funnily enough, I've been a fan of this Egbon over the years, even the inception of Sarah Reporter. I voted for you in 2019, but I won't be able to do that in the coming election. Ideologically, yes, you are the one probably I would have voted for. But come 2023, I could tell Nigeria hasn't gotten to that level whereby people are making choices based on ideology. Look at the level of our literacy presently. So among the major three, I'm going for Peter Obi. And ever since I've been following you, talking about those you've been bashing, Peter Obi happens to be the lesser one among the three of them. Each time he puts out probably the crimes, let me use that, they've committed over the years. It's been like the less among the three. Even on air now, it's been like the less person you probably ascribe crimes to compared to the other two. If you are trying to say because Obi moved with the likes of people in PDP and APC, that makes him bad. I could always say the same thing to you. You are moving with the Jadi Yoju, who took pictures with the likes of Aisha Buhari, the articles. I could say you too. That makes you complicit. If I'm to use your analogy, your logic, because you are trying to say because Peter Obi was once in PDP, you can't expect someone as big as Obi not to be enemies of people who are probably were business partners, who are political elite as well too.
Okay.
I have friends who are into online fraud. Fine. I might not be close to them, but I can't just make them my enemy, all because we are different, we share different ideologies.
All right.
Same applies to Obi.
Yeah. So what I saying in essence, what I saying in essence?
My point is this: to each his own. Egbon choose to stuck with his ideology. Fine, all well and good, but giving a dog a bad name just to hang it doesn't really go well with me. That is my own personal opinion.
All right, Remy, thank you for your time. Okay, so what do you say to this? That I mean, he said.
Yeah, he didn't say much to convince me that he said he wants to vote for the lesser evil. And I've always said it that there's no categorization of evil. There's only one evil that we know of. There's no big or small evil. Evil is evil. But the other thing I would say, which is fundamentally important, is that in making these kind of decisions, the decisions that led to the election of the Buhari, they say he was the lesser evil in 2019. And now Nigerians realize that they voted for the real evil. You understand? So the other thing I would say, which is important for a lot of young people, It's that very popular adage that in the forest there was a meeting held by trees, that they should vote, and they opted to vote for the axe.
The axe.
Yes, and I asked them, why do you want to vote for the axe? They said it's because its handle is made of wood. Since the axe was voted for, no tree has rested because the axe cut down every tree that voted for it. So I hope we people are genuinely realistic about the choices they are making, because election choices are very, very consequential. They have consequences. If you make the wrong choices based on bandwagon effect, or you vote for a lesser evil, don't forget that even if there's a lesser evil, evils do grow old too. And the bigger they become, is not mature enough to vote for the right person. Don't forget that when the right people are not in power, as the Christians say that when there's the righteous is not in power, you say. So if you agree that you have someone who can do a better job, who's ideologically sound, who can't be compromised, and you say no, it's not the time to vote for him. By the time you look back, it might be too late. But I hope it won't be too late this time around. And I'm happy that there's this testimony out there that what I represent is what the country needs. But people are saying, no, this is not the time yet. Well, you know, that's how countries get left behind when they're supposed to make the right decision, and they prevaricate and they end up making the wrong decisions. It's going to affect you, it's going to affect your children, it's going to affect generations yet on board. If you have a chance, integrity, quality, competence. The young person was calling from Akoka in Lagos. I grew up, I partly, my teeth was caught at the University of Lagos 32 years ago. And I'm proud that I attended that university in that neighborhood. And I have now become a global citizen who can bring the best out of the people of this country. Right. But if you choose to do otherwise, too bad.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next listener. 91.3, good evening to you. What's your name?
Mr. Kofi, good evening. This is Wilson from Ore calling.
All right, Wilson, nice to have you. Go on, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Mr. Sowore, but Sowore, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Welcome, Wilson.
Thank you. Let me make both to say that I've been a fan of you for a very long time, right from Sahara Reporter. It's true I haven't met you in person at any point, but your ideologies and things you stood for back then and still now are such that is what commendable. And on those grounds, you gained my support and my followership. I really want to appreciate you and for the sacrifice. So,
thank you so much.
Now coming to the politics of today, I have heard your ideologies as to your plans for the country. I don't know if I should call it a question, but one thing I'm so sure about is that Nigeria as it is at the precipice. If it hasn't broken down already, it's almost at the point of breaking.
I agree with
so we need something very, very urgent. We need something that we don't have to keep us a little longer at this point because it's too crucial. Now, I like your ideology, politically speaking, and what it is you're offering to the people. You're bringing to the table for Nigerians. But I'm curious because I'm a realist. Even though it's good to be optimistic, even though it's good to have good plans and agenda, we still try to not sideline the reality that we have at hand. Now, as we speak, the reality that we have at hand is that your party, you as a person, I'm not seeing it coming forth. I'm not seeing it so easy that you will be able to deliver with all of these your perspectives in 2023. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it as something that could be realistic in 2023. At some other time, electioneering period, it may be possible, but for 2023, I personally, this is my view. I'm not seeing it as something that is actualizable. Now, coming from a logical opinion, I'm thinking that it would have been better you throw your weight behind someone that you know that is a bit manageable. I know nobody is a saint, not even you. Nobody is a saint in Nigeria, possibly in the world.
So because of time, you hit in 3 minutes. You summarize your points of question in one sentence.
Okay. I'm sorry, sir. I'm actually trying to suggest that if he could throw his weight and his support, and he's a man of the youth. Yes, you've got many of us interests at heart. Now, let us not sacrifice all of these vibes.
All right, you've said it all. Let's give a chance to other people to comment. I think you've responded to this already.
I have responded to them. I just feel like people speak in this programmed mode with regards to this particular topic. But everybody should continue to be entitled to their opinion. There's nobody who should return Nigeria to darkness and be proud of it. I keep hearing people say, yes, you're good, but it's not yet time to have good people. That was what led to Awolowo becoming president in 1979. I said, he's the best. But, and realistically, let's go and vote for somebody who was not even interested in presidency, like Sheikh Shakari. He was not interested in it. He had taken the Senate for this one I brought him. 1993, Abiola won election. I said, no, Nigeria is not ready for his kind of democracy yet. We're not matured. So let the military continue. Military continue, look at where we are. We keep making these mistakes, and we justify them. We justify them on air. We say, no, we're not ready for progress. This is what I'm hearing from people. We're not ready for the kind of progress that you are bringing to us. We're not ready for technological development. We are not ready for a corrupt-free country. We're not ready for the energy agenda that you have. You're not ready for mass employment. You're not ready for free education.
This is what some of the other candidates, including one people are touting right now, have been saying. They want to fix the industries. They want to bring,
they're not saying it. One of the candidates they are touting does not even have a manifesto. He said it openly on air that he doesn't need a manifesto and doesn't have one. So how do you judge what he's coming to do when there's no manifesto to even read that speaks to what he's talking about?
Which candidate are you referring to?
I'm referring to Peter, who most of them are talking about now.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. I see some calls on WhatsApp. I'll come to you in a second. 91.3, that's your call there. Hello, good evening to you. Hello, good evening to you. All right, I see some calls we have from, I think, the UK. We'll take this one first. 91.3, good evening to you. What's your name?
Yeah, hello, Kofi. Good evening.
Welcome. What's your name? Where are you listening to us from?
Yeah, this is Sun City, coming from Sowore.
Sun City.
Good evening to you. Yes, Sun City. Good evening to Mr. Sowore.
Good evening.
And thank you for all the vibes you're giving us. I've been a fan of yours for quite some time now. But you see, from what you are telling me right now, they say talk is cheap, kind of. I've never seen you, handle a very vital position in the country. Like, let's say maybe a chairman of a local government, a governor of a state or something. For me to, measure you up to some of these things you can say. So my issue with what you are saying is, you are trying to let us know that you can do some of these things, and you've run a startup like Sahara Reporters. As I speak to you right now, I'm also running a startup, a tech startup like yourself, like you've done before. But I cannot trust your ability because I've not seen you handle public affairs, public offices, like the way Mr. Peter Obi, of whom I also recommend, has done over the years. He has handled 8 years as a governor and has handled some big companies as well. So my issue is not you're very smart, but what you're saying is on point. But I have not seen you done something.
All right.
I've not seen you done something besides Sahara Reporters.
Thank you. Because of time, I think you asked the question. Thank you so much for your time. All right. Interesting. Over to you.
Well, I want to be very clear that I never said that running Sahara Reporters is what we qualify for. I responded to that just to let you know when you're talking about entrepreneurs and people who are in business. Just to let you know that I've been in business before too and run a platform. When countries are looking for leaders, they look for leaders who have capacity. They look for leaders with character, integrity. That was the reason why Mandela came from prison and became the president of post-apartheid South Africa. He wasn't a local government chairman in prison. He was not a governor in prison.
Never had any
He
political
was
office.
never. Even Obama,
Just a freedom fighter.
yes, who people talk a lot about. Obama was a senator, which is the highest position he had, for just a few months before he became president of the US. Up until then, he was a community organizer.
Okay.
So, and the question you should ask yourself, with these people that you are mentioning that you support, their experience, what have they brought up from Nigeria? This is Nigeria they governed before, broken, dirty, poor, and uninhabitable. It has become the poverty capital of the world. It has become a place that is indecent for kids and young people, old. It has weakened everybody to the extent that we can say that Nigeria is a disgrace to the continent of Africa today. And the people you are mentioning are the ones they run the country for 8 years. If you take 8 years out of anybody's life, you've taken their prime away. And these are people who manage the country where universities are on strike for 7 months and there's nothing any one of them did about it.
Because somebody is saying here, I think
Yes.
Van der Waal is his name,
Yeah.
at Showboy David says that his honest opinion is you should start from the grassroots by contesting in local government chairman elections first.
People say all these things because they have lost their self-esteem. And that's what Nigeria does to you. Nigeria ruins ruins your self-esteem. Otherwise, how could anybody say to someone like 51 years old, I have been around this, which was the other part I wanted to mention, that I was one of the young people, or some of the people that brought about democracy in Nigeria by constantly fighting the military.
Just like Bola Tinubu did.
Well, that's debatable that he fought for democracy the way I did because they all ran to the US and it was easy to fight the military from a distance. We sat here. We were going to prison and coming out. We were getting expelled. They were having fun. Some of them were playing, what was it called? Table tennis. It was lawn tennis every morning. So in the evening when they're bored, they were just going to fight for democracy. We didn't have that luxury. And that's the truth. But yes, he can add that to his own CV too. So why is it such a big deal that he said he fought for democracy? Because democracy was important. But even Kenyamo, when he was tweeting one day, he said that of all the presidential candidates, he claimed Bola Tinubu fought for democracy. He said the only person else is Sowore, because I was a student leader in my days and we confronted. So if those things don't count as experience, being a fighter, being a straightforward, fearless fighter, then what is experience? Why do countries always talk about leaders who fight during war. They talk about wartime leaders, and they talk a lot about them. If you want to consider wartime leaders, I probably fought more wars than some army generals in Nigerian military.
So you're saying that those who held these offices over the years, what have they brought to the country?
Yes, they haven't. I don't see any because I've been around this country for 51 years, and I spent 20 of those years in the US. Maybe my standard for governance became problematic because I've seen real governance at work. I haven't lived in the US. I've seen people actually build bridges, you know, uh, within a year, and, and I know that they have been fixing Lagos Ibadan Express Highway since 1987 when I first arrived in Lagos.
They're still working on it.
They're still working on it. So my standard for governance is, and that's why I don't blame our people. And I'm very careful not to offend anybody.
All right.
Because if you've never been in places where things work, it'll be difficult for you to understand, anything. You see, do you know that in this country people still praise governors for paying salaries?
Oh yeah. For
Yes, I was like, okay, if they don't pay salaries, what are you supposed to do? They praise them for building roads. It's budgeted for. You're not supposed to even in the US. I've never met a governor before commissioning a road. I don't know if it happens in some part. Maybe it's a part I don't. If the road is completed, the way to commission is to allow cars to drive on that, not to go and wear agbada and cutting tape there. Like look at Buhari went to Imo State twice to commission. The first time they said he went to commission some uncompleted roads, he went back again, commissioned more uncompleted projects, because the governor of the state himself is an uncompleted governor. Because
all right, let's go to this. Listener, I don't know where you're calling from. Sorry for keeping you on the line for this number. Thanks. What's your name?
My name is Oluwafemi Olawale.
All right, where are you listening to us from, Fanny?
I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you from the UK, London.
All right, welcome. Please go.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Hello, Mr. Sowore. It's nice to speak to you.
Thank you very much, Femi. How's London tonight?
I have to say, first of all, I commend you for all you're doing, and I think I'm going to fall in the category of the minorities on this, because unlike most of the callers and most of the feedbacks and readings and all the things that I've been seeing, reading and stuff, you are actually probably one of the very few people that can take what's going on now in Nigeria. And the reason I say that, with respect to all the obedience, and I am not obedient, not because I have anything against Peter Obi, but I am actually Sowore. And the reason is, first of all, I just want to commend you because Peter Obi is actually on what he said. We all want change in Nigeria, desperately actually. And I think Peter Obi is riding on your back for what you've done. I do not think you and Peter Obi is more qualified than Tinubu. However, in terms of experience, but I do think that because Tinubu is part of the current furniture that needs to go, and is probably the most corrupted Nigeria that I know, and for that reason, Tinubu is out. But if it's about experience, which is what the obedience are saying, Peter Obi have more than you. I don't even think Peter Obi is the most qualified among all the candidates, and I also don't think you are. However, both of you are the best that we have at the moment, because the rest are just part of the old furniture. And I can see, I understand, because of maybe people have shallow minds, to think that, you should just give up, or you should. I strongly recommend that you continue doing what you're doing. I don't think you need my recommendation, to be honest, because you've been doing this long enough. However, just to summarize, because of time, I just want to commend you. Keep on your good work. I honestly do not think either of you would win. However, you are creating a platform for us in Nigeria. And I'm saying that not to discourage any of you. Nigeria is so corrupt. The system is so corrupt that any of you would win. However, because I do not think Peter Obi is more qualified than you, and I don't want to say anything bad about Peter Obi, and I know his conscience might be right. He might mean well when he invested that money in his family's business. For me, that's enough. That alone. Anybody that understands what ethical means, it doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean what his intention is bad. It just means you cannot do it. You just cannot do it. You cannot put the public money in your family business, even if your family business is the most profiting.
All right.
So finally, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Sowore. Really appreciate your work so far, and thank you for the show as well.
All right, thanks for your time. A message here sent in by Leo, who is listening. K2 says, "Good evening. Please, people should stop begging Sowore to join Labour Party because he is feeling he knows better." All right. Olu in Badagry says, "Thank you, Kofi. Thank you, Kofi, for giving us another option apart from APC, PDP, and LP. You media promote major parties every day. Tell Sowore to be more visible on radio and television because this former governor and VP vying for president without nothing to show for it. They want to turn Nigeria to production, but the state they govern, they can't produce pencil." Olin Badagri, thank you for your message. Samuel Akonwanjo says, "Please ask your guest what influence or how he has affected the constituency where he comes from. What has he done for his constituency to show relevance?" Samuel, thank you for your message.
I was asking what I do in my constituency. Yeah. Nigeria is my constituency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm sure you have a local government area where you come from.
Yeah, it's I've not been in public office. So you see, Nigerians have to be careful sometimes what they ask. Questions they ask. All the charitable work we do in our constituency is not our job, and that's why some of these guys escape with blue money. Get away with blue money. Anybody who is constructing road for his community is preventing the people who have been paid to do it from doing their job or not holding them accountable. Because I hear that all the time. How many people have you given scholarship?
How many people have you empowered?
Yeah, exactly. They always ask you, how many people have you empowered? It's actually not our jobs as individuals to be empowering people. It's the job of the government. But if I empower people, I should also not be saying it because it should be something private. I'm not supposed to be bragging that this is the number of persons.
You take a media team to
exactly
film you
exactly doing nothing sometimes. And empowerment is not only about materials. The ideas we are sharing here tonight on your show is a form of intellectual empowerment, maybe for a whole generation to come. I did not get scholarship from my Luther King or Malcolm X. I never met them before. But things is said, years ago, that's the reason why some of us, get foiled to do what we do, resist oppression. Today, that's a form of empowerment. The people who invented some of the tools we use today, we don't know them, but they did it and they put it out there, and it's empowering us to do things faster and better. That's a form of empowerment, even when we pay for them. So empowerment is not only doing giveaways.
All right, we have a Catherine on the line. Catherine, good evening to you. Where are you listening to us from tonight?
Good evening, Kofi.
Welcome.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Catherine.
Thank you. A nice topic. I actually listened to everything you said. You made a lot of points. But I just have one question for you, which is, what do we have to look at for in our next president? Like, what qualifies someone to say, I'm not counting you out? Do you understand? So what do you have to tell us that this is what you should look at for you to actually say, yeah, this person is the person you are going to cast your vote for? Do you understand? So if you are a father in your home, as a father in your home, or if you are a son as a son in your home, what advice are you going to advise your family member and say, even if I'm not there, this is what you should look at for. It doesn't matter who is involved, but this is actually what you should look at for to say, yes, this person is actually worth casting your vote for. Right. Because the reason why I'm asking this question, because remember, this thing coming up as a president candidate is not a family business. This is a person, a soul. He's going to serve millions of people. So what do we have to look at for to actually go and do that and say, this is the person that have all it takes to save Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Indeed, it's not a campaign period, so he's just sharing his ideas and thoughts with us. But Catherine has put it very well. This is the next question we're going to go to. What kind of candidate do Nigerians need?
What Nigerians need a candidate that is a departure from the past. That's the way to step forward in this case. Anybody who's been a governor who hasn't performed the way you expect or that is expected of them, because your expectations might be lower than mine, don't have anything to do with them. Anybody who was a vice president in this country, in which they supervise and superintended over hunger, starvation, and misery, should not be considered. Anybody who has been part of any of the political parties, the one that brought darkness for 16 billion, darkness we are enjoying now.
It's an interesting way you put it.
Yes, the one that brought darkness for over 16 years after paying $16 billion. Anybody who's in part of that political party should not be considered. The ones that brought Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping, the ones that turned Nigeria into the poverty capital of the world, anybody from that party should not be considered. You should have a clean break from the past. The past is so much of a burden. If you have anything to do with it, you will never make the progress that you need. Except you want to engage in what we call circumlocution. That is plenty of motion, no movement. That's why you should consider any of those things. So look for a person with impeccable record. People have competence, people who can communicate with you, because communication is also very important for leadership. People who can hire decent hands, people who have no emotional baggages, people who have no tendencies for tribalism, nepotism,
We have no alliances
who have no alliances with godfathers
or favors to service.
Yes, people who have no relationship with any of the former presidents.
But some would argue that this clean break from the past idea is going to be difficult for anyone to on their own win an election in this country at any level.
Elections are
without
supposed to be
reaching
about,
out.
No, elections are. You see, most of the people we're talking about, the godfathers, they have only one vote. You also have it's one man, one vote. We have elevated them to this particular position of pedestal that they have ruined our ability to even determine our own fate. And that is what I'm asking people to break away from.
I'll give an example.
Yes.
Everybody is cutting heads of Wiki. Even third force parties are going to his house on Ada George Road, Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
To court him, meeting with him in London to court him. And the idea, even in his party, where Atiku Abubakar has won the primary, the ticket, and can just go ahead and do his thing, he still is courting him because people feel you need some of these politicians who have a large grassroots following, to
what grassroots following
key
does
into you.
People are following Wiki because Wiki has got money. We reverse money to, Wiki is donatus. He donates to people as he likes. That's the reason they are cutting him. Otherwise, Wiki is not anybody per se. Wiki is just, he's got a deep pocket that he gives. If you ask any politician about Wiki, the thing they'll tell you is that if you need money to run your election, you're going to collect your own from Wiki. It used to be Akpabio when he was governor of Akwa Ibom.
And before
it
that,
used to be Odili, also in Rivers, before Akpabio came. So that's why they are cutting now. It's not, Akpabio could not win senatorial primaries until they got a court order like yesterday or today. Because they're not as popular as you think. They're not as powerful as you think. If Wiki is no longer governor of Rivers, you see him in another 2 years, you think that a trailer ran him over. Because the moment they don't have this war chest anymore to throw around, the corrupt money that they steal, they become non-entities. I'm telling you, I've met so many of them, not individually, but I see them sometimes at the airport. Like, they will be looking around to ask people to greet them because but the moment they are governor, they have 50 vehicle convoys. We can rise around in a private jet. We can even have like personal assistants who are governors because of the money he has.
So you're looking at the
It's about watches. So, but
okay, let's take some more calls. We have some more. We have to take this in a few minutes more because of this. Please turn off your radio set 91.3. Good evening to you. What's your name?
Good evening. My name is Bolaji. I'm calling back.
Oh, Bolaji, we want to okay very quickly, please, in one sentence. We won't take a lot of calls. In one sentence, please. Go.
Okay, please. Thank you. For me, what I just want to say is that I think it's time for people to realize that once you see the seat, just go for it. These other three candidates, especially the LP candidates, that they can actually see that it's different. This is what I've wrote before. They should give new chance to all the other candidates. And for me, Sowore is next. I'm going to vote for him. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your time.
thank you, Bolaji. We've just gotten one vote ahead of all the other candidates.
Well,
Early voting just commenced tonight.
Yeah. We have Remy Abati who is listening in Tottenham. Remy, North London, welcome.
Kofi, thank you for bringing the big fish in tonight.
Oh, thank you, Remy. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Sure, Baba.
Remy, how are you now? Good evening.
I'm good, big bros. So
Thank you.
I'm good, big bros. I really, really want to commend you for all you contributed about democracy so far. And the other day, many years back, when you were in East London, I rushed down to find you. Before I got there, you were gone.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for all you've been doing. And I didn't even know you are running again until a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
Because I know you were in prison by Buhari.
Yeah.
How was prison life for you? What was prison experience for you? Did you regret going to jail? Was there
No,
right time
no,
that you
no,
felt
no.
like, hey,
No, I didn't regret.
you regret what you did?
No.
Because for years now you've been broken away. I mean, you've been removed from your family. How are you feeling about that? Secondly, why is it difficult for those of you who we look up to as alternative routes to our Eldorado, to our redemption? You guys find it difficult to unite. Those who steal from us, they know what it takes. You guys are not united. The bad boys are united. And what's wrong with you good guys? Are you not seeing a reason for you to unite? And secondly, sir, this coming election, what are your thoughts? And what are the advice for the young people? I mean, I must confess, I'm following your beat. Like I said, I didn't know you're contesting only 2 weeks ago, but I'm still following your beat anyway. But what are your thoughts about this coming election? How are you mobilizing the youth to just go out there and do what is right for their country? Thank you very much, sir.
All right, Remy, thank you for your time and keeping it short and simple.
Yeah, he was asking me if I regretted going to prison. I said no. It's not my first time going to prison. I've been going to prison since I was 21 years old. When we did the Babangida Moscow protests at the University of Lagos, in those days, we were arrested, roughened up. That's when I started going to prison. If I left Nigeria in 1999 to go to the US, I've been in prison and out of, I would say, detention, because it's a mix. It's different.
There was a time you stopped there. Was it Ali?
No, I wasn't part of
Was it
it,
Bukio
but
Basanjo
yeah.
or something?
No, I was part of. There was Babangida Moscow, and we did the anti-SAP protest as well. My last detention was when I went and organized a protest against the military at that time, 1998. It was a NUGA event, the National University. We went and disrupted it.
Those were the days of doing how you see it now.
Yeah. So, and I was arrested. It was the first time I was detained in the SARS cell. 1998. So when people were talking about SARS, it's been around an atrocious place to be. So I didn't regret it. It afforded me the opportunity to reflect a lot. Of course, I miss my family. Nobody can be happy to be separated from your wife and kids. for 3 solid years now. But sometimes these experiences are necessary. There's a price you have to pay for believing, for having convictions. And the second question he asked is, why is that the good guys don't come together? The kind of unity we want, people like us want, is the unity of the oppressed. It's not the unity of the confused, right? We don't honestly have anything in common with these guys in the political class. When I say it's, I'm talking about major candidates. When I say major, because that's the way the press presents them. We don't have anything in common. We don't have the same philosophy towards governance. We don't have the same ideology.
All of them.
All of them. Yes.
But you say all industrialized.
So,
you want to industrialize
yeah.
Nigeria. Peter Obi says he wants to move Nigeria from production to
How does he
from
do it?
consumption to production.
How does he do it when he's the largest importer of goods into Nigeria? Has he ever created a company that produces anything in Nigeria? No. The only company that he invested in was a company brought in by Sam Miller, producing beer.
But neither have you. But you still have the ideas.
But when you say I don't produce, I tell you I produce ideas, and you can't even tell how much it's worth. So it's very important that we understand these things. Like it's what I keep saying. When countries need good players to go to the World Cup, right? You cannot take Odegbami. We are going to the World Cup at this time because his time has passed. The problem with Nigeria is that we keep taking the same failed teams to competitions of life. And then we come back and cry and say, oh, we made a mistake. Like everybody's saying, if you ask people, what do these candidates have to offer you? Nobody can defend. Even when the candidates speak, they don't have anything to offer you. The man in Lagos saying he wants to recruit 50 million people into the army, and then he will feed them with abado, cassava, and corn. These are like ideas that makes no sense.
But people feel the LP man
Atiku wants to sell. He wants to sell, the NNPC to his friends in Nigeria. They've already sold Nigeria to themselves and their friends. What else do you have to sell?
But the LP man, Labour Party candidate, seems to be a strong threat for alternative. And people
How is he strong candidate? They're presenting him
because of the
followership.
I mean, you see the 1 million man matches all over
You are talking about.
You see the followers on social media.
This is where
Nigerians in diaspora. Everybody's coming. So
no. This is where you should be careful. Be careful what you wish for. You're talking about 1 million man match, right? Look at what Tinubu pulled in Ibadan yesterday. Of course, it's sponsored. They paid for it. You can't compare that with what the Labour Party people.
But you've just said a difference. The Labour Party did not pay.
Who told you Labour Party did not pay?
People come out on their own.
It's not true.
It's not true. It's not true.
It's not. There's no. But nobody should lie about it. You understand? All those placards you see, T-shirts, somebody paid for it.
Yeah, but people came out on their own.
It's not true.
Even in EndSARS, we pay for stuff.
It's not true. What I'm telling you is that all of them are playing politics. They're playing on your intelligence. Say nobody paid for it. We don't give shishi. You understand? But when you know what goes on underground, you know that they are spending money like water. I'm telling you this. That's why they can't present their expenditure.
Do you publish your expenditure?
Yes, I did. I do. I just published the one yesterday. I published. No matter how little I take from the public, I publish my expenditure, the income, and revenue, and expenditure. Because it's public trust. You can't afford to abuse it. It's on my Facebook page. It's on my Twitter page. I'm raising funds to crowdfunding. I put it out there. This is how much we make. And because you're asking the public. So many of the ideas, by the way, that they're using, they came from me. This idea of diaspora speaking, I did all the way to Australia in 2018. I was in Australia, 4 cities, 5 cities in Canada, over 7 cities in the US. I went to South Africa. I had rooms, I went to the UK, I went to Germany, I went to Italy. Yes, we had rooms filled up with Nigerians all over the country. I traveled to 35 states in Nigeria. Some of them you can't even go near. those places to take. So this, even the idea of take back Nigeria, it was a rebranding of take it back, which you know already. But I'm glad that I have ideas that can be taken. That's why I'm telling you that I sell ideas, but I don't get paid for it. That people can take and use to empower themselves. That's real empowerment. Nobody should take that away from where we're coming from. But what I disagree with is to package ideas and persons and characters as part of the old failed system. And you say it boldly, with your chest, that, oh, this person is different from them. He's not different from them. If you're in PDP, you're not different from PDP. If you're in APC, you can't just wake up and walk away from them and start presenting yourself as a different.
Some will argue this is an opportunity that Nigeria's never had before to push at least a big two out and to have something different.
We can't push the big two out with, one of the apprentices.
Why do you call him the apprentice?
This was Obino's articles deputy in 2019.
Because he calls him his master.
No, he was his he was his vice. Yeah. So the kneeling down for a ceremony in public is his master.
So he leaned down at the NBA conference.
If someone says if you say to somebody that he's your master, that makes you an apprentice.
All right, we have Tade who's been waiting on the line for some time. Tade, welcome. Take it away. Where are you listening to us from?
How are you doing, Kofi?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Mr. Woluwole, how are you doing, sir?
Very good. How are you this
well,
night?
I'm still contemplating on who I will vote, either you or Kwakwanso.
Why would you want to go vote for Kwakwanso?
I'm not saying it now. I say I'm still contemplating.
Kwakwanso that has the highest number of out-of-school kids as governor. Why would you want to vote for him? Let's take your question, bro.
My question is this. Why don't you think someone like you can rise through the ranks of the existing system and get up there and change the system? Because starting from zero like you did, like I know how you started. I mean, Shemputi always sing praises of you, and I listen to him very well. He's a brother man to me. So now, how do you think you can resolve that without going through the little parties, the established parties? How can you get into the established parties and get up there and change everything? That's what I'm just thinking, because it's really a high tide against the small parties. We know the system, and I know what you've been through yourself.
But the important point is to say, I'm a person of big ideas. I think everything I've done in my life almost were things that people considered impossible. When I was making the transition from being, a regular activist to being a journalist, people said it wasn't possible. I contacted a lot of people who were former journalists living in the US. Let's do this. I said, how is it that you think that people will read anything on the internet? They don't have internet in Nigeria. Look at today. And we have now almost made the transition from newspaper, printed paper to digital news platform, and we still don't have enough. So it is not important or necessary to keep saying that you must go through a very shady path to make it to the top. If those places are cemeteries, they kill your integrity. They kill. You know, ask the likes of Festus Keyamo.
You had to go there.
Yeah, it's my friends.
One time you're sort of activist or advocate colleague.
Yeah, he was still my lawyer. He was handling some cases for me before he joined government. Look at what he has become. So there's several persons who have gone into the system. It's the same way you advise me, go into the system. I'd rather not be part of a system that will turn me into a crook. Even if that's the only way to win, I would never do it. Because that's how we got to where we are today. It's like people, why don't you go and join them? Do the wuru very small. make it, and then you look at me later on and say, "My God, this is it not the Sowore that I used to abuse everybody?"
Because if you eat from that table, you can't.
You don't have to observe table manners. You can't be eating and talking at the same time.
All right. We have a next listener on the line. 91.3. Good evening to you. What's your name?
Yeah, good evening. This is Femi from Germany.
All right, Femi. Danke, thanks for joining us. Please go.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, my point is this. I first want to address these people that they are in abroad and they are supporting our politicians back home. These bad guys back home. Those are the number one evil. I can call them evil. Because if you live under a system that is working in abroad, in Germany, in France, in UK, and you're supporting somebody like Tinubu, you're supporting all these bad guys, Atiku, you are number one evil. You don't want your people to see the light. Those are the number one evil. But number two, my understanding for Sowore is, please, Omoyele Sowore, please keep telling the Nigerians that if they keep voting for their oppressors, if they keep voting for these guys, all of them, they will talk breakfast. There is no two ways about it. It's either you go with the light or you go with the darkness. They see the light, but I don't know why they are avoiding it. So that's my own point. I don't want to go too much.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you calling in. We have more calls coming through. 91. Please tell us your radio set. Yeah, tell us your radio set. What's your name?
Francis calling. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, Francis, where are you listening to us from? Okay, all right. Sorry, please go.
Still on that
Good
concern.
evening.
Good evening, brother. How are you?
I just appreciate your efforts and I want to remind you some of your comments in 2015 during the time of.
Yeah, you have to turn your radio set off, and we're going to get there. All right, have you done that, please? Yes, go on.
Okay. See, Mr. Sowore, I can recall what you said during the time you want to bring this same brand that look at JV. So I listened to you in one radio station when you were running down the government of Jonathan there. You even called Okoji-Iweala a secretary in the World Bank or something like that. As if she is a secretary. As you said, it's not even qualified to handle that thing. So it has been in your blood to running down people. But that is not how to play politics. It's not how to play politics.
So what's your point about she joined the World Bank as a secretary? That's true. Have you done your research? She joined the World Bank as a secretary. That's true.
That's what you said.
No, that's
you were praising this same Buhari that if you cannot detach yourself from Buhari,
that's false.
All what you said, Nigeria,
that's false. That's
you
false.
are Sahara reporter.
I can tell you. Can you listen to me, please, for a second? I can tell you categorically that you never listened to me on a radio show in 2015 because I was never on any radio show in Nigeria in 2015. Never. In 2015, yes. So I'm serious. You can. I can give you my number to send me a link of the radio show where you heard me. I know you made up the story. I know you made it up. I never. No, I'm telling you. The only interview I granted that you might be referring to was Premium Times. You know what now? No. You are being dishonest.
No, okay, hold on. My brother, hold on.
What is the name of the radio station? Ask him, please.
No, hello, sir. My brother, you know that he's taking your question, answering. So just hear him and then you can ask. Yeah.
Can you recall the radio station where you heard me, President Buhari? Can you name it? No, I've never been to. I came to Nigeria Info for the first time in 2018.
Hello, sir. Hello. Okay, can he answer you? Yeah, bro, calm down. Take it easy. I think it's a nice opportunity you have to ask him these questions, Reverend. So let him answer you. You said you heard him
on the radio.
So he's asking you which, and you say you're listening to Nigeria for another station.
And I've never been to Nigeria for until 2018 when I was running for election. I didn't even know that the station was called Nigeria.
I'm talking like 2014,
yes, that's what I'm saying. I came to Nigeria Info. I came to Nigeria Info for the first time in 2018. For the first time, I didn't even know that the station existed called Nigeria Info in 1918. It's false. You see, you are jumping from one corner to the other because you know you are.
I'm not jumping.
You just said that I was on Nigeria Info. I can ask our brother here to fund it, and if this is true, if what you are saying is true, that I've been on Nigeria.
Okay, so can I was on Nigeria. Hold on, bro, please. Just a second. Hello, a second. Hello, my brother. Hello, my brother. Please, can we answer you once here? I must confess, okay. I was on the aforementioned station for 9 years, 9 years. Before I left in 2020, April 10, 2020 was my last day on Nigerian phone. Sowore, who is seeing here, came to Nigeria from 2018. In fact, before you sat down, he sat on the street. I'm being honest, so I told him that I missed having an interview with him in 2018 because he had to catch a flight, So I'm just being honest. But maybe it's another station. But he's saying that he was on the candidate in 2015. So, because you see, the thing is, I have this question. This same question you have, I have it in front of me to ask. So you can see it right here. Yeah, I have the same question. I'm not defending him. It's the same question I wanted to ask him. That's why I said you've gone ahead, which is good. Now, hold on, sir. You asked him a very important question, which I want him to answer. Bro, sorry. 1 second. You asked him a very... Hold on. Sorry, please. You asked him a very important question, which I want him to answer. You said that why was he also speaking against Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala then, some years ago, all right? And then saying that she was an ordinary secretary. So I want to answer that. Bro, listen to him. Let's just have him answer.
You know what he's referring to. Apparently, as you can hear from him, he's just making up all the stories. That's what he was talking, and now he has left.
Did you at any point refer to Okonjo-Iweala as a secretary?
Which is true.
Okay.
And that she was not an economist. I've confronted her before with it, and she agrees that she was never an economist at the World Bank. She started as a secretary.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, she's not an economist. There are people in the World Bank that are economists. You can go and Google her history. My issue started with her when she came to Nigeria under Obasanjo and was receiving dollar salary. People have forgotten that. So when that's problem, I said that's wrong. How do you go to a country and you're receiving, the others are receiving naira? It was a big controversy at that time. She eventually surrendered and stopped receiving dollars.
People forget.
Yeah, people forget.
I remember that episode. It was almost like you guys are the only ones fighting for the people.
Yeah, so it was her, and I think there's another person that was, I think it's one of Bunjimi, one other guy at that time. They were collecting dollar salary. We fought against it until they stopped paying them in dollars. And she never liked me since then. She even wrote a lie against me in the book she wrote. That
you made it to the pages of her
book. But she wrote about me in her book that I call her not to accept the position of finance minister the second time. She claimed that I called her and Donald Duke called her, which is a lie. The only time I called her was over the dollar salary. That's the only time I called her.
You called to sell?
I was calling her to say, why are you collecting dollar salary? She got upset. She's very temperamental, at least towards me. She said, why are you calling me? Why are you calling me from a phone that is meant for my family? I was like, madam, how do I know that the phone is meant for your family? I'm looking for your number to interview you about something. Somebody give me your number. And I'm calling you with the number. She just was going on and on over the fact that I call her on a number that is meant for her kids. And she was making up a story that I'm trying to endanger her life. I was like, you're a government official in Nigeria, you have police, how does the phone call endanger your life? So that people understand my relationship with her. And she so upset that she had to put a story about me in her book in which was totally false. The same thing this brother is making a story that I was supporting Buhari.
But people, because I mean, I have a question
And
here.
that I talked down Jonathan's.
Yeah.
Yes, I was opposed to Jonathan because of the corruption, massive corruption that was going on. It covers Jonathan very well, robustly, and there's nothing that I wrote about him. So, but you know, Nigerians are very interesting. They will ask you to apologize to a thief. I wouldn't be surprised if after Buhari leaves, they'll be asking those of us who are opposed to the Buhari regime to be apologizing.
But can you understand that people feel you brought Buhari to power? Because yourself,
it's no longer Obama.
Yourself and then your media outfit paved the way for him by going after Jonathan.
So why was it
exposing Jonathan?
So why was it that I was unable to bring myself to power in 2019 if I was so powerful? If you ask some of the people who are making those allegations, they say they didn't even know who I was until 2018. Are you getting my point? How can you say that one person brought somebody to power? Buhari had been getting 12 million votes 3 different times before he became president. So I was the one who was making those votes available. The people that vote for him in the north, they don't even read websites. They listen to radio. So the people that brought Buhari to power, they are people. They have never denied it. He gave him money. Emelokon, he down even confessed. He said it openly. And other people who are now, some of them were in PDP then, some of them are now in APC, some of them are going back to PDP. You know them. The businessmen that went and contributed a huge amount of money to him, Otedola, Dangote, and the rest of them. They're the people who brought Buhari to power. What I was doing was, as a journalist, I was covering politics proactively in a very, very innovative way. That to the point that we're able to accurately report the results of the election in 2015 before INEC.
That's why some people felt you were supporting in a way.
No, I wasn't supporting the APC. The point to make is that anybody takes advantage of what media people do to advance them. That's what media is out there. You report, and anybody can take your report. My reports have been taken before to prosecute people. Doesn't mean that I work with the EFCC. No. My reports were used in prosecuting a Bori in London. Doesn't mean that I work with the UK government. No. I do my job and I go to sleep. Anybody can take my content and use it in ways that advance their cause. Jonathan once said, and this is on record, you can Google it, that when his younger brother died, he found out on Sahara Reporters. He was like, wow, so you read Sahara Reporters? Yeah. So that's how powerful Sahara was and still is. Everybody uses Sahara. Some people swear by Sahara Reporters, to advance their interests, including PDP people. They take Sahara Reporters content now and use it against the APC. So you are going to accuse me of bringing the next president to power, who I hopefully will be myself. That time I will admit that I brought myself to power, using Sahara Reporters. But,
all right. We have more messages here. Let's quickly just look at them. So many. I don't know how we're going to go around this. I think Olu have read your message. Okay, someone asked about a constituency. Paul Idemuria is in Sowore. He says, Sowore saying Obi was a member of PDP is neither here nor there. He says, I personally believe Obi is more of APGA because that is a party he did 8 years with as governor. It says Sowore rather did not or does not stand a chance in hell of becoming the president in today's Nigeria. My kind of advice to him is that he should align with P2B. That is a realistic thing to do, except he just wants to mark the register as candidate as usual. By the way, he should stop attacking P2B.
Right? Why do people say that? It's like you're not ready for prime time. You want to be president of Nigeria and you don't want people to talk about you. No, you have no business running.
Okay. Next one is sent in from a listener, I think in Toronto. I think okay, this was a guy who sent a message earlier. Chris in Toronto, how are you doing? He says, so political figures in Nigeria, what I look for is immaturity in terms of social character, especially in a country where a lot of issues are easily polarized. I don't think Mr. Sowore, with all due respect, has shown a great deal and naive. If he was one stupid, should he remain an idiot? It's one of the social characteristics of a man to learn and evolve. The other thing I'm interested in is communication in relation to the ethos of these political parties in Nigeria. So my question is, how does your party plan to communicate the ethos of the party to the poorest and uneducated random individual? So that's two questions. First, seeing if a man was once to be, should he remain an idiot in relation to moving from the PDP to Labour Party, and then second one about the ethos.
If you don't renounce the values of it's just like saying that someone was a member of the mafia in Italy, and he didn't say it's a bad thing, he didn't renounce it. And you say to the public he wants to be president, people are going to ask, oh, he's in the mafia. We don't like the mafia here. Or
to frolicking with the mafia,
especially when they're still following the articles, the Melocons, I mean, Tinubu. If you are frolicking with them, people are going to be, they're going to suspect you. If I were to be Tinubu's, if there's a picture of me with Tinubu today, all these callers will, allude that I'm working for him.
I think it'll be a scandal.
Exactly.
We said it.
Exactly.
We said it all this while.
If there was, it will be trending for months. So why is that when we then tell you that we have issues with people who have had association with these political parties, that you are surprised that those things mean a lot to us? The past and current relationships are what we look at in judging candidates. If you found me in the company of, if I joined the APC before, I won't, but I never joined a political party before in Nigeria until we did one in 2018.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Another contribution. Tunde says, I don't think we should be obsessed over Peter Obi. Tunde says Peter Obi should step down for sure. So that's one.
We are on the same political party. There's no need for him to step down from it.
All right. Next one says, please to my boss, Sowore. The voice of the people are sometimes the voice of God. We, your fans, are in a crucial condition now, and we're also keenly watching your actions and inactions. Please make us proud, and you will have our back in due course. Okay, thanks for
your back, man.
All right. Catherine, okay, you're welcome, Catherine, anytime. Siju in Abuja Meta says, in my opinion, Sowore will be better as a senator. Just my thoughts. Cheers. And I asked him why. And he responded by saying, that is where Nigeria's problem is, scrutinizing bills, delegated legislation, government administration, and government policy in general. This needs to be looked into. And I think Sowore is better as a Senate leader. Okay. I think your answer will be a simple no.
Nigeria's problem is presidency.
Okay.
That's our big problem. Senators are part-time workers to a large extent, and senators represent smaller constituencies than the president. If I wanted to go for the Senate, I would have gone for the Senate. This is where I think my serious services are needed by Nigerian people.
All right. Next message here. Tunde from Ijebu says, one of the reasons I don't rate Obi or Obi's movement is because it's based on tribalism. Because Sowore was like this in the last election, but he wasn't given any chance by people because he is not from the East. But they suddenly changed gear because Obi is, I think Obi is consistently said he's not running on for any tribe. Next one is sent in by David Bagada. Says, kindly ask Sowore if he believes in federal character principles for rotational presidency. So you've gone asked some of the questions we had on Q, which is fantastic. Does he think we should zone powers in the Southeast to give us a balance and sense of belonging within the power space? The office of the presidency is not a retirement hub for regular politicians, in my view. Okay, so he's asking about zoning rotational presidency amongst the six geopolitical zones. And this concept that is the time of the Southeast.
Well, you have said it. That Obi himself has said it's not. He doesn't believe in Milocom.
But do you believe in that?
No, I don't. I've seen power rotated all around and yielded nothing. The man who is there now is from the north. So what has it done for the north? The north has become the hub of insecurity in the country, of poverty, of insurrection, and some of the highest crimes afflicting Nigeria today. The president is from the north. He's done nothing. The one who was from the southwest, Obasanjo, couldn't even construct a road from Lagos to his farm in Ota. So Jonathan was president for 6 years.
Do you think Nigerians forget very, very quickly?
Yes, I think we have a problem with institutional memory. Okay. Our institutional memory is kilobytes.
We have maybe national collective amnesia.
That's very true.
Okay. Sowore says Mr. Moyele was among the people that spoke strongly for Buhari in 2015.
Of course.
Can you please address this claim? I wrote this because this is what people always say.
Yeah, they just make up all the stories based on what people
did you at any point put out a tweet, maybe even just a tweet,
if there was a tweet
to say that Buhari is the person Nigeria needs?
If there was a tweet, they would have dug it out. Even if it was deleted, there will be somebody who would have screenshot it.
You never said. Did you say anything about Buhari?
I never said anything. I didn't write an article. I did not grant an interview.
Did our reporters do anything? Because I know how you guys give Jonathan fire. I mean, I remember Dr. Damages who.
But he said Dr. Damages was on his own. He writes his scripts and produces.
But it's on your
platform.
YouTube.
Yes.
When Jonathan went missing like this about
but that's satire. You understand? You can't take that to mean that he endorsed. In fact, Dr. Damages is now more on Twitter of his side. It's like not hiding it. But even those days, there's nothing like that. We're just doing our job. What our conscience tells us is right. And sometimes people write comments on our reporters. People write opinions. Everybody knows in journalism that opinions don't count as endorsement. It's opinion of the writer. They know all these things, but it's sometimes suitable for people to just tell a lie against somebody. Like I said, what our reporters were doing against Jonathan at that time is doing even more now on Buhari. So yes,
all right. Let's go back to the phone lines. Yes, good evening to you. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Ola. I'm calling from Dublin.
All right, welcome. Ola, please go on.
Yeah, I just want to speak to Omoyele Sowore.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm calling from Dublin. My name is Ola.
Now, not the sleep from Dublin.
Yeah, I've been listening to the show for a while now. And I've listened to different people contributing, and I'm just a bit disappointed, to be honest with you, about Nigerians, because we left Nigeria and we are now in Europe, right? I've been in Europe now for almost about more than 20 years, okay? And it's because of bad governance. So if at my age, Nigeria still remains the same, because we've been doing the same thing again and again and again, trying to vote for people we so-called that have weight of experience. Okay, and they are not taking us to anywhere. The government of Jonathan was terrible. Now, the government of Buhari is even worse. And people are still going along the same line. I'm not going to be talking about Peter Obi, okay? And I'm just a bit disappointed, you know what I mean? In terms of how Nigeria think. This is a brother there in front of you that have go well beyond to prove that it's people's person. And Nigeria will call to every single show. I've listened to every single show that Mohammed have done in Lagos when he was in Lagos, and every single station I've listened to. People will call, shouting at him, talking on top of his voice, and they can't do this with Bola Tinubu or Atiku if they are on the show. But they disrespect him. because his triple person is so close to everybody, he's trying to prove that he's going to be working for people of Nigeria. But people just disrespect him. They call on every show, shout, and they keep saying the same thing and again and again. And none of them can come up with an evidence. For example, saying he's the one that brought Buhari to power. Has any one of them has any evidence to show that this is what this guy has done? If they have any evidence, they will be the first person to be have there to bring it up. And it's so annoying that people call with make-up story, different stories, to go to CH, to go to here. Here in Dublin, if I can say something quickly, a politician, right, was jailed because of increasing his expenses by €1,000, 1,000 euros, and his political life was completely gone. But in Nigeria, people will embezzle billions of naira, nothing will happen. And this thing keeps happening, and we still keep voting the same people in and again and again and again. If anybody in political life did what Peter Obi has done in terms of using government money into his family's business, he's gone for life. He will not even smell anything for politics. I know Nigeria has not got to that level, but when are we going to get to that level?
All right.
When are we going to get to that level? You know what I mean? We are in Nigeria now because people thinking have not changed. We just remain backward with the amount of resources. In this country I am now, they are just living on taxes. That's all they are living. They have no natural resources, But in Nigeria, we have a abundance of them.
Okay.
And people keep asking, where are you going to get money to do this? Where are you going to get money to do that? And there's a lot of money being embezzled every day.
So in a nutshell, just summarize your points, my brother.
In a nutshell, my message is to my brother there, Sowore. We love you right from here. We continue to love you regardless of what happened in the Nigerian election. Nigeria doesn't want people on themselves. That's why most of them are suffering. The ones that are happy, that are living okay among them, they don't want the people suffering. They don't want them to prevail. So, my brother, keep doing what you're doing. God is your strength, and we are here clamoring for you, praying for you, and again, just my confidence for your brother, okay? And my regard to your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Ola, thank you so much for your time. You lost your brother.
Yes, my brother was killed last year.
Oh yes, indeed. The one
way back from school.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Condolences.
Thank you.
All right, let's take some more messages. I see calls coming in on WhatsApp, calls on our regular lines. Our guest is graciously giving us a few more minutes of his time, but we see. Michael from New, I think he's already answered your question. Okay, this is a call from someone in Europe. It says, okay, you are calling. We'll get back to you. Okay. For those who sent in voice notes, we'll get them as subsequently. Olajide in Shomolu says, good evening, Mr. Sowore. This is Olamide in Shomolu, right? In 2019, I campaigned for you with all my zeal, but the election turned out to fall on my hand. We are ready for development, but I'm not seeing the development starting from you in 2023. Please be a part of a movement that can showcase you better in 2027. Thank you, bro. I think you responded to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Remy in Akoka, I can't see your message anymore. Ola, Shodi says, I've been listening since 10 p.m. This man is making sense. Say no to old politicians. All right, Ola, thank you very much. Wilson from, and it's a bit arrogant claiming to be the only solution to Nigeria's problem. It's difficult to trust someone without a pedigree. Even our individual tendencies are
denigrating conduct of people sometimes. To say to somebody that because he has confidence, he's arrogant, I don't get it. I understand why they feel that way. Because, this is a country where, the moment people make it a little bit, they look down on others. And that's why it's part of what is driving the conversation about why don't you go to the Senate? Why can't a 51-year-old person be president of your country when the age for presidency is actually 35? And when the guy has been able to prove that he's not one of the people stealing your resources, he's got ideas, he can express himself clearly, he's got integrity, and he has made it known over time and time again that he stands on the side of the truth, and he has demonstrated either under pressure or under several other circumstances that he's different. That's what countries look for. And another thing I would say is that I tell people, if your child comes to you and say, "Daddy, I want to be great," you tell the child that no, you can't be great. Just be like me. You always say, "Yeah, please go out there and be great." And that's what I want to impart on others who are listening, because I know a lot of you are under the same yoke. When I was in the university, the registrar of the University of Lagos sat in front of me and said, "Sowore, you can't make it. You are not graduating from here in my lifetime."
Told you that?
Yes. One, Dr. Motosha, okay, he's now in the US. And one day, one of his sons called, one of his relatives called me. He's getting married. That's my, where with doctor here. He says great things about you. I was laughing. Told me, I said, "You can't graduate." Told me I can't graduate from the University of Lagos. But at the point the relative called me, I had already graduated with a master's degree in one of the top 10 universities in the US, Columbia University. So most of us face that degrading treatment from our fellow citizens. You just talk down here. Who are you? This "who are you" kind of mentality that our people have. But don't let anybody rain on your parade.
People would like to see you with so much money.
Yes, yeah. So you just keep saying, "No, go to some of them will even say casually, "You are not worth being a local government chairman." I say, "Thank you. That you don't consider me to be worthy of being a councillor shows that you have some respect for me." So it comes from a place of defeat. A lot of people feel defeated already, and they think that everybody must go down that rabbit hole with them, and that's what drives some of our diaspora brothers. They are the ones that are arrogant because they feel like because they have some little change, anybody in Nigeria is stupid and useless, and they'll talk, conclusively about as if they are a god sitting on somebody's fate and destiny. And you can imagine if they have the power, they'll probably be worse than some of the people. I lived in the US for 20 years, and I see that a lot. But there are also great diasporans who will give you their last dime so that you can prove it that we can do better. And those ones also understand that it is young people that are running the countries where they are making it. The young people, the woman who ran Germany for I think 3 times didn't even have a car, but when she was leaving, people opened their windows and they were praising her all over the country because of what she did for.
America?
Yes,
okay.
What she did for her country. People are not going to vote for rich people or people who stole their money. They vote for people who can change their country, whether they've been councillor before, they have no experience. They test people of integrity with leadership. But here, we want to keep returning to our oppressors. It's called Stockholm Syndrome, where you fall in love with your oppressors, so much so that you are the first to defend them, even when you know they're wrong. You are the first to fight others on their behalf, even when you gain nothing from it. And you are the first to talk down on people. What is wrong with being president of Nigeria? What's the big deal about being president of Nigeria? Those who are invalid, who use Nigeria as their next hospital for the next 8 years. And like I keep saying, elections have consequences. But those who are out there who feel that they are nobody because people keep telling them they are nobody, I'm telling you, you are somebody.
All right. It was a bold move for you to come back to the country.
Yes.
After all you'd written, all the investigative pieces, the scoops, and
yes. That's what I'm saying. Like when that guy was lying that I was on Nigeria, I wouldn't even risk my life to go on public radio under Jonathan's regime. They were looking to kill me. But don't forget, I was also the one who revealed of Yaradwa's illnesses to the point that Jonathan was able to become the president of Nigeria. Do you know, as it was revealed recently, by the former chief of army staff at that time, Dambazo. They were planning a coup. But most Nigerians did not know that I was the one who revealed that they were planning a coup. That was why they didn't carry it out. Forget about the lie he was telling that, oh, he was under pressure, but he didn't ask. I revealed it as our reporters that they were planning a coup. So the one that brought Yaradua back to Nigeria inside an ambulance in the middle of the night.
Remember the pictures?
Brain dead. And all they were doing it for was to prevent Jonathan and Ijoma from becoming the president of Nigeria.
And your stories, paved the way for him to be
absolutely
president.
Yeah.
With Dora Queen
and to reveal to you tonight, Dara Kule was one of my reporters inside the government at that time.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a scoop.
It is a scoop. I'm saying it for the first time. And when she was sick, I was in touch with his case. We're still talking until I came back to Nigeria. Dora, you will call you after during the federal executive meeting, she will go into the bathroom and call me and say, "Sowore, this is a lie they are cooking again, to say that the man is recovering. They are going to say that he's climbing mountain and stairs. Say even me when they here, can I climb 10 stairs without?" And that's the lies they were telling. And all the newspapers, almost the major newspapers in this country at that time, including Al Jazeera, were claiming that the man is in great health, is coming back. It was in this country that pastors, a Jew, and the chief of Imam of Abuja went and saw Yaradua in vegetative state and said, the man is recovering. Pastors.
It was Sahara reporters who got the scoop.
We were the one who got the scoop and were the first to report that he was dead.
And
I was the one, you can check Shegun Adeniyi's book. I was the one who called Shegun Adeniyi that Yaradua is dead. He told me that, my brother, you are lying. I said, why? He said, I'm in the living room waiting to meet him. I said, well, you better leave because the man just passed. He wrote it in the book.
Wow. And so you sort of paved the way for Jonathan.
Absolutely.
So you think people were being unfair to say that?
And when Jonathan won,
holding him accountable.
Yeah, when Jonathan won, they came to me, Oronto Douglas, who's late, came to me in the US and asked me to pack my things and come and work for Jonathan. I said, I can't survive in government for 2 days as a worker because I'm going to say things you don't like. You guys are going to assassinate me. Let me stay where I am. He came to me. He sent money to me. I've mentioned this several times through Imani Boro. He came to the US and said, Jonathan wants to appreciate me. I never met him. I said, what? Why do you think I was looking for money? Do you think I'm doing this for money? Because he couldn't believe it. And that's what is wrong with perception of Nigerians sometimes. So many Nigerians feel like if they have the kind of media power I had, they would have made billions and just walked away. Some of them would have bought an island and be living on it. So they can't believe that you are not monetizing such a power or you're not commercializing it. So our reporters doesn't want to accept government ads. And if we were accepting, we legitimate and we would have made a lot of money from it. But I don't want any government connection that would taint the integrity of the platform. Probably that is why it's lasted this long.
All right.
Because Jonathan's people would probably have given me advice from NNPC through Desiane, and I will be part of the corruption probe during the Dasuki scandal.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. That's some interesting revelation right there. My oh my. Can we do a few more minutes? So read this message.
I need tea. Hot tea.
Yes. Okay. We just read it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Oye is in Kent. Oye, thank you for your message. Oye says Nigerians love to remain in bed with their oppressors. It was 3 exclamation marks there. Nigerians prefer to pray, fast, and attend night vigils and expect good governance. Oye in Kent, UK, thank you for your time. Siju is back saying, what's your opinion about regional government? But he responded to what he said about the Senate, saying, well, senators are not part-time in Nigeria. Senators conduct, councillors and co are the ones marginalizing us in the grassroots where the masses are.
The Nigerian senators work part-time. It may not be that there's part-time. They go on vacations the longest. They don't work. Even part-time workers work better than they do.
I once did a calculation of how many days they spent off. I think
how many times have we done that?
Yeah, it was like the almost whole year they were off.
Yeah.
Or we have CEO Africa who's listening in London, I believe. Am I correct, CEO?
Yes,
All right.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, Kofi. Good evening, Mr. Sowore.
Yeah.
It's actually a honor to talk to you. But in as much as I respect everything that you've been doing and everything that you stand for, which is quite a feat, if I may say, a young man like you doing it solo, it is good. But I right now I do not think that based on the things that you've been criticizing other people with, that they are not capable. You have not shown everybody that you are capable based on the fact that we cannot judge you. There is no measure at which we can use to judge you because you've not held any public space before or any public position before. So that's the measure. That is how me personally I say, and most of the things that you've been saying to me, I'm not okay with them personally. I'm not okay with them.
What are you not okay with? Say it.
You have this holier than thou attitude that you are never like you have never been wrong in your life. Everything that everybody has been
But if you
saying,
have anything I done wrong, why can't you say it?
no,
What's wrong
See,
with that?
you see, you
Like if I
show,
if
you,
it's not,
you make it seem like you are holy, that you've never
I've
been
never
like
said
you
I've
know
never
God
said I'm
has
holy. That would
like
be
you know.
that would be
Can I
that would
finish?
be no
Can
that
I
would be
finish?
ascribing to me a religious position. I'm not religious. What's the meaning of holy? I am just expressing to you who I am. And I don't know why some of you like to shut people down simply because you disagree with them. What's wrong with
But you are shutting me down now.
No,
I
I'm not
called
shutting. I'm just
to have
responding
my
to
own
you.
belief, but
I'm
you also
responding
shutting
to
me
you.
down.
I'm
You are doing
responding
what
to you.
you are accusing people of doing.
Okay, so what is it I've ever done wrong? Say it.
No. See, I don't know what it is that you've done wrong, but everything that is thrown at you, you've been saying that no, this is this, this is, I've never done this, I've never done that, and you criticize people as if you know everything. But if you know everything, no good day where you do. But me, for like other callers have said, I would like to see you with.
Not old enough to go to Senate.
I am old enough, but
so let us all go to where we fit into. If Senate is where you think you want to go to, you are old enough.
But as of now, maybe in 2027. But as of now, I don't think you are what we are looking for as a president.
You are not to tell some. Don't use the word we. That's some level of appropriation of terms. You say we. Who are the we? Am I not a citizen of Nigeria too?
Okay, sorry.
Just say you.
Not what I think.
Yeah.
You're not fit to be the president now.
Okay. CEO, thank you very much for your time. Yeah. So what do you say to that?
I've just answered him.
Okay.
It's his opinion.
We have a voice note here. Yeah, good evening. Okay, ma'am. Oh, God, please.
I like the topic that you're discussing tonight and the guest in your studio. I like the way he flows. But there's one thing he fails to understand. When you talk about sponsoring a candidate for a political ambition, in this process that we are in now, he should understand very well that Obi is not decent as he claims. But as it stands, so what Nigeria needs is somebody that has the experience to manage this country. And among all the candidates that we have seen, Obi is the real candidate to do that. You understand? Let's quit all the sentiments and focus on that one political ambition right from Anambra State.
All right. So he's saying you had him experience again, and that Obi maybe has the experience. You already said that other candidates also have experience, like former vice president, former governor. They also have the experience. So, will you say the same thing to this last listener?
You know that when you want to talk about experience, the two most experienced, or the two people who are supposed to have been the most experienced leaders in Nigeria are Obasanjo and Buhari, because they were once former heads of state. In 1979 to, in 1979, Obasanjo was one handed over to Shagari. He came back in 1999. Buhari's own case is even very interesting. He was the governor of two states, now two states, Gongola, not three, okay, right? He was the former minister of petroleum resources. He managed the biggest slush fund Nigeria ever had. I think it was PDF, yes, in his days. Yes. And when they came back with all this experience, what did he do for Nigerians? Nothing. The experience has become a liability today. So why are people talking about experience as if the only experience you need for leadership is to be a former governor? No, leadership experience is different. You can be a leader in the entrepreneurial sector.
But some say Nigeria is a very complex country that needs people
Nigeria is not
who can hold the country down.
Nigeria is not complex. It is complex for people who don't understand simple things. That's the problem. Like, if Dangote were to present himself now for presidency, these same people will not tell you that he doesn't have experience. You understand? The people who have experience in stealing, killing, that's what they call experience in Nigeria. People who have experience in dishonesty. People who have always just changed Nigeria. That's what they call experience. Leadership is different. When leaders can emerge from anywhere, whether they've been governors before or not governors. In fact, in the history of Nigeria in the last 23 years, how many governors have become presidents? Except Jonathan, who wasn't originally a governor. He was a deputy governor who became a governor because his governor was impeached for stealing, Alamaseya. That's the only governor that became a president of Nigeria. No, including Yaradua. Yes, Yaradua was governor of Katsina State. But you ask yourself, did their experience as former governor count in terms of how they ran the country?
Yaradua
No.
didn't do badly. He's credited with some noble innovations.
In Nigeria, anybody that's around for a few months is always better than the ones that stay long. People talk about Muritala today. It's like, he was a great guy, hero. Yeah, he was a hero. They created it, but if you know how terribly he performed during the Civil War, you will not even go near him with a 10-foot pole. They were the ones that committed the atrocities in Asaba. How do you name an airport after such a person? 3 times. Criminals, Hiroshima. And that's part of the syndrome I'm talking about, the Stockholm syndrome. We just pick the wrong people as our heroes. And that's why we are where we are today. There's someone who said today, I think the vice presidential candidate to Tinubu, that Tinubu has the same characteristics as Abacha and Obasanjo in 2022. How can someone say that? And there's people applauding him. Abacha that stole so much money is still sending us money from his grave.
Well, some people say Abacha's government, is even way better.
But he might be right, because his principle is not different in terms of kleptocracy.
All right. We have to coast it home now. Chris in Toronto is back. He says, we know that the resolve and character of a common Nigerian is brittle, especially with this perennial perennials coming to dangle carrots every 4 years. So I really want to know how the party on Sowore represents plans to communicate the values and ethos of the party to the layman. We cannot deny the fact that the minds of the citizenry are very important to drive home. He said, "I'm going to reach out to everybody."
One thing I will say to people who are asking this question is, ask yourself, of all the candidates that ran in 2019, who stood back, who kept fighting, who kept challenging the government? I'm probably the only one.
Well, we put out a tweet, during EndSARS.
One tweet.
Well, said something.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Okay. You think that's not good enough?
You don't have to participate in EndSARS to be good.
Yeah.
But I think it was a period of, sensitive period for young people in the country. It was down moment. It was their aha moments. It was a period they discovered themselves, a lot of them, and empowerment. Putting out a tweet is not enough. I joined and participated in EndSARS from the day it started. I started one in Abuja till it ended. In fact, when everybody had gone home, I was the one who went to the airport to put a graffiti there. And the video is available online. You can see it. Then I went to National Assembly. So I'm probably the last person to leave the stage during EndSARS.
But one of the parties and their supporters are planning EndSARS Memorial next month in Lagos.
We are planning to.
So is there going to be a class? Because even the APC is planning something for that day in Lagos.
Let as many of the parties as possible come to the barricades. It'll be interesting to see, but I don't expect. I sent out a tweet yesterday when they said Obi cannot and Labour Party cannot have a rally in Lagos. No, I said nobody can stop them.
I was just looking at your tweet. Yeah,
nobody can stop them, and I support their right to freely assemble. Of course, the next moment is, that's typical of the Obi. They said I've endorsed Obi, that I'll become obedient. I can never be obedient in my life. I've always been a disobedient person against authority, and cannot be part of a group of persons that say they are obedient. I'm a revolutionary. I don't obey any command from anybody.
But this tweet you put out on September yesterday,
yes.
Seems you have maybe you're sort of like leaning a bit. There might be something in there to say, okay, maybe we can work together.
No, that's what I didn't want people to understand. I don't want
because this is what he said. Nobody can stop it to be a Labour Party rally in Lagos. I guess these Shiwaju Ahmed Tinubu minions suing. You put a screenshot of the headline: 9 lawyers, one other file suit to stop Obidati for whatever rally. You said, I guess it's Tinubu minions suing to stop Labour Party and Mr. Obi from staging a rally in Lagos. These will have gone nuts and must be disgraced out of Nigeria's political space. And people say, no, maybe
it's just my total respect for the rights of Nigerians, regardless of whether I agree or disagree with them, to freely assemble. It's a human rights position. It's a position I would take even if you're my enemy. I won't allow your rights to be violated by anyone. And I can't believe that there's anybody in Nigeria that will go to court, or even a court entertaining such a ridiculous lawsuit to say that, a political party or group or persons or movement cannot hold a rally. It's just completely crazy. And I condemn it, and that's what I did. And I want to make it clear, it's not an endorsement. I'm not leaning towards them. I'm not leaning towards Obi or the Labour Party. It's not going to happen.
Why did you join? Why did you be part of PACT in 2019 with Jote, Bogalu, Ezekwesili, and others? And you've answered this question a million times. So.
Yeah, I've answered it. I was invited, and when I got there, I realized that it was a joke. I only attended PACT once, just one day.
Okay.
And I made my position known. Why I left was that Mogalu that night when we went to Charlie Boy's house spoke, and he said, I've met with some of former Nigerian leaders after that.
But that was have shown that you're open to sort of a coalition or
No, at that point, if it was transparent and honest, I would have. But look at what they did eventually. They went and voted. Salado 2 year one. Mogalu refused. Obi Ezekwesili, who was the umpire, then jumped into the race herself, which means that there was no sincerity from the beginning. And I can see through these things. I think my student union experience over those years I was in the student movement helped me, tell and detect when people are dishonest. You can just see them transparently. And I think during those days, I was their target. They just were looking for everything they can to remove me from the race, somehow tactically. And Mogalu couldn't hide that when he said, kids had started to be uncomfortable with my public profile and the things I was talking about publicly. and I knew that they were looking for a way to do that. But the important thing to note today is that ask yourself, where are they?
All right, a very important question. We have a message here. We're just going to take this here. We're done. Some people are selfish and tribalistic. This is Olu in Baragvi. Olu says that some people are selfish and tribalistic. Kobe was not on the ballots in 2019, and the same people calling for Sowore to step down for Peter Obi never voted for him in 2019. Nigerians, you have a candidate with courage and competence. Why voting for lesser evil? Olu in Baragvi, thank you very much for your time. We have to let you go. It's been, quite some. Many calls still coming through, but we have to just bring this up. And then on Facebook, Samuel Abiona, okay, we're not going to take that. Says Nigeria needs a leader with competence and good integrity that can move the nation forward. Let's vote wisely, irrespective of ethnicity or political party, religion. Right. AK Son from Mushe, thank you for your time. Okay. Thank you all. So I have so many questions for you. We've not even.
We can always come back to
this. When you're back in Lagos.
Yeah. I just have to thank this very robust and interesting conversation. This is what I've always called for in our national space. Let people speak. Let's hear from everybody so that people can make what we call informed decisions. And that's what you're saying tonight. Your line is buzzing like up and down.
In London is still calling.
People have to say. And one thing I like about Nigerians is that they're very opinionated. Everybody's got an opinion about what they want the country to be like. And and I'll say one last thing. You're not going to get it wrong if you vote for the right person. You are not going to ever get it wrong. And the person sitting right in front of you today is the best to take that.
We're not campaigning yet.
No, we'll be campaigning very soon.
If the election comes down to a rundown, between two candidates, runoff, sorry, between two candidates, will the AAC pitch a stand?
If we come to the round of, it will be between AAC candidate and the other person.
Well, what if it's not the AAC? Will you
I don't see that being the case. You see, a lot of things are still going to happen. All right. Yeah, we're 5 months away from the election, and people are hearing different perspectives. And tonight, hearing from me, minds are changing, and that's what we've been calling for in the media. I'm surprised that Nigeria media has not started boycotting people who don't come to the station to talk about issues. In when Obama was candidate, he attended almost every interview he was invited. He attended rallies. But the problem with Nigeria is that you are talking to people, you promote the people who don't talk, and you don't want to promote those of us who have something to say. And that must change, and I'm glad that more of this kind of interactions are happening. Yes.
So we'll probably pay you sometime if we can with another candidate.
That'll be great.
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
That'll be great.
Let's see how it goes.
Yes.
All right, I want to thank
Start with me and Emily Love. Consistency is not far from
You like trouble. All right. Yes. My name is Kofi Peters. I'll be back on the other side in a few seconds from now, and we'll take more calls. We'll keep talking. I'm sure as you go on, we can listen to some of the colors.
Thank you guys, and have a pleasant night.
All right, we'll be back.
Thank you.